I just want to say before we start the podcast, a huge thank you to you guys. While everybody else is going to events for EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Bethesda, then spending the next 4 weeks bitching about everything to honor whore themselves back into appearing like they're somewhat not impacted by human nature during reviews, you guys make it possible that I don't have to do any of that. Your patron memberships, YouTube memberships, even comments and likes help me fight the good fight. And even if we disagree, even if you end up hating me, I can promise you one thing. You don't ever have to worry about any of the stuff like that here at ACG. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. This video sponsor is Manscraper. Do you have too much cush in your push? Do you suffer from too much traction and action while you're thrashing and bashing at the late night smashing? Try Manscraper. Manscraper is for the manly man. Sure, you can get little kid trimmers from the competitors as they daintily dance around your third arm and muckles. Manscaped is for a different beast. It's for dudes from another brood who didn't politely need to clip but need to hedge trim like they leg-choked Wilt Chamberlain in the glory years. Using our patent-pending 15-horsepower chipper shredder with advanced gonad alert technology, we can promise you the best shave you're ever going to get. And with Manscaped 2.0, there's approximately 12% less chance of injury. For only $499.99, you can get the Manscraper. 4 plastic bags for collecting your work and a 6-ounce container of aloe vera. If you order now, we'll also throw in the Demansculator. If you have nose thunder, down under, or just need a good washing, just hang our 4.2-pound Demansculator from your junk. Why shower when you can power through the hour, smelling like a tower of flowers? The Demansculator gives your wrinkled boys the washing of a lifetime, certified to pass any antibacterial test for 6 months after use. Current research shows no impact on fertility. And last but not least, if you order now, we're going to throw in a little Gorilla Glue, because once you're done, you can make a beard out of all the leftovers. I mean, who doesn't want to dress up for Halloween, right? Why let all that good go to wasting? Manscaped, shaving your man grapes like you deserve. And if you join our Patreon now, you can join our photo collection group, where you can send in... No, don't send me in nudes. Manscaped. If you want nuts so clean you can eat off them. Manscaped. We haven't killed anybody yet. We've been clipping what you've been... Sup, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny for the Best Gaming Podcast number 547. You know what?
Let's go.
I don't think I did the... what do you call it? Side podcast, did I? I think I got caught doing Little Nightmares. I just realized I didn't do the side potty. I didn't take a side potty. Damn. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Battlefield 6. Huge numbers. I got to play it a little bit today, or I got to switch between menus as it crashed, which was pretty cool. It's cool. It's like multiplayer, and it crashed, and then Reg's crashed, so technically that was multiplayer. It was him and I both having crashes at identical times.
Yep.
We didn't even get... he installed it, turned to play it, hit campaign, and it's like, please install. And he's like, fuck, I just installed it, dude. What are you talking about? All kinds of little issues. We're going to talk about, like I said, Little Nightmares 3. We're going to talk about some game news, probably a little bit about Assassin's Creed and what's going on there on the Assassin's Creed front. Some tech stuff I want to explain because I got some questions for that. We have 77 questions. We have 77 questions. We'll get to approximately...
I'll let you handle that.
No, dude, we'll get to some of those questions. We'll get to... Of those questions, we'll get to some of them. Silent Hill 2 remake, there were some rumors on that. Did you see the rumor that Code Veronica is the next big, like I guess, remake title from Capcom? That's exciting.
No, I didn't hear that this week, but it feels like one of those recurring
that's
rumors.
True. I should
like
shut
Bloodborne.
Up because that is true. Well, maybe not like Bloodborne. That's like it's like comparing a fist fight to like war in Ukraine kind of thing. It's pretty advanced for. But yeah, man. I mean, I'd be excited as hell if they did that. I would be all over it. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. The video, was stuttering, but here it was excellent. It was fine on mine. Looks like people refreshed it and it did work. I didn't even get a chance to reset it. I thought I did, but so who knows? Jet Black Ninja says just popping in to say happy Friday from Jamaica, man. Man, what are you doing in Jamaica? Do you live there? No, I can't live there because I talk to him all the time. He's never had like connection issues. Maybe Jamaica's
nobody lives there.
Insane internet.
People just drive by. No, I'm joking.
Drive by
I have
Jamaica,
no idea.
boat by. Yeah. That would be more like a pilot by Jamaica. Yeah, maybe they do. Speaking of that, where is everybody? You don't have to say, your exact address. That'd be weird. but where is everybody who's listening? I'd like to actually know where people are, because we're number one in, let's see, what is it? There's been a couple wild places the podcast has been number one. Like it was number one in like, not Turkey. It was number one in like Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
It was number
Did
one.
we get
in, like,
India once?
We got
I
India
think?
once, which was, yeah. When we hit, we got 300,000 views for the Starfield podcast, which was when we were on the old channel. Insane. I still don't know why that video did insane numbers, because we would get 100,000, 20,000 when I moved to this pod. You know, when we moved, we knew we were going to get way less because we're just splitting the channel. But yeah, man. Yeah, I think Yugoslavia, Romania, Turkey. Maybe it's just all non-English speakers. Maybe they're like, I hate this guy. Maybe they're listening to dubs, dude. Right? Maybe it's the same
new
thing
dubs?
I bitch about. No, I'm just saying maybe that's why they actually like it in places that don't speak English as a primary language. They're like, this guy's voice bothers me, but AI voice way better. Damn, these guys suck at English.
Improvement.
What an improvement. Yeah, you know when you play Shadows and somebody's like, I can't listen to this. Okay, here we go. I'm not even going to say who. I'm just going to read these. Let's see. Rochester, New York, Canada at the moment. Denver, Minnesota, Colorado Springs, Germany. There we go. US and A. Albany, just Albany. There's an Albany in like 80 nations. So you're going to have to, where's Waldo? That son of a bitch. Like, which of the Albanys? His name is Nixie. Which Albany would that be? Maybe it's Albany, Oregon, which is only 30 minutes from here. Maybe he's giving me a hint that he's coming to my place. Scotland. Illinois, London.
Oh, goody lad.
Jamaica's got a bobsled team. Yeah, they made a movie about it. Pretty popular. Germany, another Connecticut, Southern Oregon, shout out. There we go. Oregon Fresh, nearby. Oregon, I haven't seen you in Discord in a while, man. Romanian, living in California. That must be culture shock. God damn.
Can you imagine like the first few weeks there?
What the first few weeks. Dude, I get
what's
culture
going
shock
on?
and I live in Oregon. We're only 8 hours away. And when I go to California, I'm like, damn, that's some culture shock.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, or do we have anything pressing before we begin? I don't think we do, right? There's nothing pressing.
No, like the stuff you mentioned there. Excited to get to talk about a bunch of it.
Johnny is just excited to get to talk. He's hoping that I lose my voice. He's like,
I'm just high on life.
I can finally talk. This son of a bitch. Oh, yeah. How was your week? We always have to start it that way. Yeah, we're not like other video game podcasts. Go watch them. We're not going to sit here and read a bunch of news. A lot of it's just him and I jiving. It's been a good week, though, overall. It's
been a good week. Work is going well. I got a good pace with stuff after I fixed my tooth. I had a root canal going on. All good, pain-free, and got to play a bunch of games this week. So had a great time.
I wonder how like we would look on games if we had a root canal or if we had terrible root pain like 2 or 3 days prior to the game coming out.
All the time or something?
And then you got the surgery done, so you just be happy that life was pain-free.
Oh, dude.
Tooth pain is ridiculous for most people. I haven't had a cavity yet. And I haven't had any real issues, but overall, dude, I hear a lot.
Like in your life, you haven't had a cavity?
We drank well water. So well water from a well, and it had a lot of minerals in it. And that's the only thing the dentist can figure out is that, because my brother, he lived there 7 years of his life. He's had a couple, but he chews. So he's had more mouth issues because of chewing. I haven't had a cavity yet.
That's insane, man. It's insanely healthy.
Busted out. And I broke a tooth on a BMX bike that attacked me for no reason. I don't know why the bike attacked me, but it came after me and it broke my teeth. That was it. Yeah, I got lucky. But I hear that.
Okay, I'm trying to picture that. But
well, I just hit a jump and I hit the handlebars. Really bad. Okay. Really bad.
All
right. Georgia, Siberia. Really? Siberia? Dude. Crazy.
Holy
Siberia.
Shit.
Welcome. California. Albany, New York. Thank you. No worries. You don't have to apologize. It was fun. Well, we're going to, where's Waldo? Sweden. Teeth are the worst, Oregon Fresh says. They are. If you're missing them, though, I think you probably appreciate having them
Sweden.
Back.
Love IKEA.
Wow.
Love
Sweden. Love IKEA. Oregon.
Cheers.
Love underarm hair on chicks. It's weird
that
to
the
just
thing?
say that. Well,
is that the one?
I don't know, but I just love Sweden. I just like the idea
just say
that
it's like
love IKEA.
Sweden is IKEA. Denmark is Lego. That's what I know. That's what I got.
Oh, right. And never import Lego to Denmark. Found that out, man. Gave Master Tool, bought him. He's been a patron for 11 years now. Bought him that Lego set, sent it to him. Middle of the night, he calls me. He's like, you have to talk to our customs. I'm in deep shit. You're not supposed to import Lego. I didn't know that. We both love Lego. Yeah, because they have something where they make Lego. So, like, you can't import them. You appear like a black market, kind of thing. So I legit had to have a translator and be like, did you really send this guy this $400? Dude, he'd been a patron for years. So he's a good friend, a great guy. Loved having him on. So he's been on the podcast. So I was like, hey, man, I'm going to send you a Christmas gift. And I sent him these Legos and apparently ruined his life for a couple days. So
it's like he went to prison.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, bro.
Sorry for the gift. And then I sent Takedown that thing and he got hit with VATs. I sent Takedown the Xbox One X. Like he didn't
he
have
had to pay a bunch of
and he had to pay VATs. And then I sent I sent Sleeve a 1080 that I had laying around because he didn't have a video card. He had to pay VATs. I'm like, damn, man.
Damn.
Trying to gift people, everything goes wrong. I bet you it's way worse now, probably too. And then this week I got Little Nightmares. It's been a pretty good week. Been pretty busy. All normal shit though, nothing absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's been pretty good, which is not what I can say for Battlefield. So I got Battlefield 6.
Ooh.
I got it on EA Pro, right? Whatever the fuck that's called.
Mm-hmm.
EA Pro.
That's
EA
the one that gives
Play.
you full access to all games.
Yeah. So I got Battlefield 6. I jumped in. I didn't have. So some people are getting a thing where they get the game. They install it, they jump in, it's like, you don't have any files installed, which is weird. I don't know how they're fixing that, but I saw it all over Reddit. What I did have is a shit ton of crashes, which sucks because the beta had none, for me, at least. And this has had crashes in everything. So when I went to multiplayer to campaign, crash. Went to campaign to multiplayer, crash. Went to options, multiplayer, crash. Went to multiplayer, accessibility options, crash. Got into campaign, some questionable FPS. So I only played about 9 minutes of that campaign because of the FPS issues and lag. I'm going to go back in, jump in, do some more driver stuff because it popped right before we're getting ready for the podcast. Unfortunately, as expected, though, it has not been great for a lot of people. Cyanide quit. He was trying to play, and he was having lag, actual graphics, performance issues, which he has a 5090. I have a 4090. Reg has probably a 5090. Just guessing. It's Reg. Probably got 3 5090s. Got one sitting there just in case his 5090 goes bad. Yeah, so the issues you would expect people have been having with the connections, but I've been having issues with the actual crashing. And then looking online, it looks like a lot of people are getting stuck in queues that are resetting, which I did get. So it went like 50,000, 30,000, 40,000. 20,000 down to 20,000 up to 420,000. It's just like, and I remember one of the guys was like, dude, it's just like stocks, going up and down. So a lot of it expected, a lot of issues, but that's just sort of the way it goes. The performance thing is a little scary because there's definitely a lot of people reporting performance issues across the board. So we'll have to see. I'm sure somebody's got it running right because I've been that guy who, like, my system has no issues and yours has had issues or vice versa. But
did you have to, real quick, to log in to play the campaign, like the single player, or could you just bypass that?
So let me tell you something really weird. And I don't know if this is a cheat, but no. So I got into the campaign, it played about 10 seconds and it crashed. And then I restarted it thinking it was going to rebuild cache and it was going to go to the multiplayer and you were going to wait for a queue. No queue. So it appears to know and have those separate, at least for that one boot, that one time. There was no cache rebuild and it was just like, boom, you're back in campaign, and it started. But that was just one time that I was going from a campaign back to the campaign. The rest of the time I was like jumping around, so I can't speak to that being a glitch of some kind, because I would assume that would be a hack of all time to purposely go in, sign into the campaign, and
just then bypass the queue,
go back into multiplayer and play. Yeah, I don't see how that would be like not completely, a problem there. So then so you've got, I think it was at 500,000 last time I checked, good number of players. But this does shine the light on something that you and I had talked about, which is, and we talked about it before, which is that really weird thing where like supposedly they had said they expected like 100 million players. And I'm like, we kiboshed that pretty quickly where like you couldn't find the source or anything. Apparently they didn't even plan for 1 million. Because if you look at the server queue, you're like, okay, listen, if they were really planning for 100 million, we'd all be in there. Like, even 10 million.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, yeah, sure. News and clickbait shit. But yeah, it looks like, I mean, from what I can tell, it looks like people are playing. The one thing that worries me, though, is so Europe, super high queue counts. I didn't have a terrible queue count in America because most of us are at work. Even on a Friday. Yeah, we still work on Fridays.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is that going to get really bad when the offset happens and people start coming home in America, East Coast time, 3 hours ahead of me.
The big overlap.
You're still playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get that'll be a true test, I think. That'll be like the
That absolutely happens. We saw that in Diablo and a few other like online games where
bump.
your 5 p.m. or something then overlapped with something like nighttime for us was, after job hours for the US, and then like boom.
Yeah, especially if you guys are playing long and we're jumping in early.
Yeah.
So let's see. These issues only on PC or console? I don't know. I mean, everyone's still at work, ACG, LOL. That's huge numbers without anyone who went to work this morning. Doesn't get off until 4 to 7. I don't know what that means. That's literally what I just said. I literally just said that, didn't I? I feel like I just said that.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Late. Must be late. But anyway, so like I said, good numbers overall. But I do believe, we're probably going to see a ton of issues here, which is why I put situation normal on the podcast thumbnail, because to me it was pretty much expected. Not the crashes. That is not expected. That I will say that was weird. But overall, expected numbers. I'm hoping it does well. It looks like Call of Duty is already going to do well. There's a lot of people, it looks like, who want to play that. It's awesome. 2 major shooters in the same like local area. I wish we could have a third. I wish we had a third competitor, but having 2, pretty excited for that, man. I'm really happy to see like both of these release at the same time. I saw that the campaign isn't great, but that's, unfortunately, it's expected.
Status quo.
It bothers me that it's expected, because if it's expected, they know it's expected. You would think they would improve it, because then you have people who want to play the single player who buy it. And then you have people who play the single player who are like, maybe I'll jump into the multiplayer. So you have this. I do believe it is very worthwhile to do a good single player. Let me give you an example. What was the Call of Duty? Was it Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the one that had the 3-hour campaign like last year? Had this super short campaign. You had a lot of people who weren't even getting it because they do both. Yeah. And they were like, well, I'm going to wait, which is painful. I think these guys need, if you're going to have a single player, do it. Just do it. Do it well.
Yeah.
Don't fuck around. Don't be like, oh, yeah, that'd be like an offense in the NFL just being like, all we do is pass. It works sometimes, but after a while, you do need a threat of something else. Or in UFC, you need a threat of being able to take somebody down so that you can punch, vice versa. I would like to see that. But you going to jump in
I was a little bit on the fence because I was watching a little bit of Co today. The game looked quite good on his end. Didn't see a lot of issues.
Good.
So I thought, this seems like good fun to jump into. But then I started hearing from a lot of people like, hey, it's crashing. It's got all these difficulties. So I'm kind of holding off. There are also a lot of other games right now. It's pretty tough. Yeah.
There's a ton. Speaking of others, I got done with The Little Nightmares 3. A good, at times solid game, but not one that I would say.
Are you reviewing that one?
I reviewed it on Tuesday, I think. Yeah, that one already.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Gotcha. You're not the only one. There was actually somebody else who was like, hey,
it didn't pop up for me.
I'm like, dude, YouTube. But I did do it. And, it's solid sometimes. It just didn't catch my attention too much, because those games are about the vibe. You never know what's going on.
The atmosphere.
Yeah, and they're like and listen, I'm talking about this game, but I'm going to use another game example because I know people are going to get pissed, or maybe they won't. Most people watching will know I feel this way. But shit storytelling is shit storytelling no matter what. And I don't care if your name is Dark Souls with your bullshit lore hidden in weapons and items.
Your item descriptions.
I just don't care. I think you could do better and get both groups of people, the mysterious and mystery loving people, as well as the people who want a story that's a little bit more cohesive. These games are all about the mystery. And at times you're just like one more puzzle room, and it starts to wear thin, starts to be a little bit pacey, as the term would be. But good graphics. I like the worlds. I like those dark, creepy ass kids trying to escape a giant 50-foot baby. It's a 50-foot baby with a laser beam in its eye, which is pretty goddamn scary. Toddler apocalypse, the onesie of doom. But yeah, he was, there's all these weird creatures in it. You're running around as two kids. The biggest problem is one's got a wrench for smashing shit, and the other's got a bow. And occasionally the game is like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have you try to shoot shit with your bow. And it feels terrible. Terrible. It's just, you start playing it and you're like, oh no, this is not working. Rogerio says, yeah, Souls games with that method is getting annoying. Hell is Us is about exploration and reading lore, but it's also more cohesive. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a fair assessment for most people.
But compared to like 1 and 2, Little Nightmares,
not as good.
Because I felt those, left a mark on people more.
So did I.
Like people were still talking about them.
Yeah. They do a very good job at offering the mystery at a pace that makes you feel like it's not just puzzle rooms, but every puzzle room has sort of a bit of like a thought process. This game, there were times where I would go into a room and do it, and then I'd leave and go, what was I supposed to learn from that room? Because most of the time you're supposed to get a little bit more of something, whether it be learning the gameplay or a little bit more about the story. Yeah, it didn't feel like that. What have you been playing this week, by the way?
So Ghost of Yotei is probably the big one. Loving that game.
Oh yeah, you're still playing it.
Yeah, still playing it. Loving the way it pans out, where you can basically choose who to go for, similar to like Shadows. But I just felt like it's much more interesting than Shadows. AC Shadows. I don't know if the comparison is fair. They're trying to do some similar things, but it's just kept me much more into it than Shadows did. So I don't know exactly what it is. A bit hard to put the finger on it, but some of the environmental stuff is just
better,
really good. Yeah,
it did come up in most of the people I was talking to, and they liked Shadows a great deal more in the story. And I was like, okay, I get it. And you're saying you liked Yotei more. And we were talking about it. And I think that technically it just comes down to the honest truth. I firmly believe this. I'm pretty tired of the samurai games. And if I had switched these games, I wouldn't play Shadows as long as I played Yotei. And the reason why is because to me, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of samurai games. We're starting to get to that point. And I don't know how much you play to Shadows, but I do feel that it's a perfect release. It's like Shadows came first. I think that makes total sense. Yotei came out, both good games. But I think in all honesty, it's really just way more up to the player in this one and where they are and how much time they've spent in either one of them. Because a lot of the people I was talking to had played a ton of Shadows. And they hadn't played a ton of Yotei, but they were like, the story's not grabbing me. And I'm like, okay, I sort of get that. If you spent a ton of time in Shadows, maybe 100%ing it, or maybe just experiencing a lot of it, I could see you going into Yotei and being like, well, it's just a revenge. You're just killing. You're just really going 1, 2, 3. It's certainly not Ubisoft style Yotei or anything like that, which is a little bit more of the side quests and stuff. It's just like boom, 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 boom. Norbs says after... Okay, dog. Don't worry about me. Jesus, he just tore all the wires out of all of my shit as he walked by.
Oh my God.
Christ on a crutch. After 20 hours, I'm so over Yotei. Everything is repetitive. Main quests also drag on. Yeah, I can see that. Dylan says Yotei seems more arcadey. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? They're just all... It's just... I think it really does depend on how much you spent in either one. And, like, I get it. It's doing
I really
well,
think...
though.
Yes, yeah, it is. I really think it's not as simple as any one of those things that folks are saying. Not to discredit their opinion, it's more so that I think it's multidimensional.
Yeah.
And it becomes this big preference blob where for person A, this I can see this game working much better than Shadows, and for person B, I could see the opposite. And for me, there's something about how contained the little engagement areas are. So you go in, you do whether it's a puzzle section or a combat section, and at the end you got your slope that gets you out of there, indicating to you that like, hey, you're done with this little particular thing. You feel free to go elsewhere. There was something so liberating about that structure that I just got into this nice cadence of I'll go do that, and then pull up my but it's not binoculars, but the spyglass, check out stuff around me. Ooh, there's something interesting there. I'm gonna go there. Follow the wind for a bit. Just kind of flowed better.
Yeah.
For me. And I just got into that flow, man. Really, really nice. And the combat and everything kind of clicking. So
yeah. I mean, and nothing is one dimensional. I will say that I do think that like if you look at each one, I would say whether it's a strength or not, Yotai is like a good deal more arcadey in its delivery of. It's not arcadey in the gameplay as much as it's arcadey in how it's delivering everything. It's tighter. It's like there's not much going on in the other ways, which I sort of liked because I like them both pretty equally. I would say with Shadows, I'm probably in well, that sort of doesn't make any sense because you're only going to get feedback from the internet. But I feel like I might be in the minority where I liked both of them for different reasons. The characters in Shadows, I did like trying to like play against type with both of those characters, and there was a little bit more to engage with than Yotai, which is like your big engagement for that game. And every person you talk to is about going and defeating those guys. She is the ghost. Her job isn't to help random stranger, and really anybody you help is about those bosses. Like
expediency.
That part I did feel was a little too lean. I like the nemesis moment where you like knock somebody out, you think you killed them, but you're really just holding them, for a moment to ask them about the next bad guy. And I did hear some people are like, oh, that's awesome. And then a couple hours later, they're like, oh, that's pretty shallow. Like, that's like, I'm doing that a lot. And I do see that part being repeated a lot. I could see somebody being like, okay, I sort of feel the engagement. But the thing is the original Ghost was just new. And its story was very in-depth. I mean, the original definitely, it's Kill Bill 1 and 2. Is the way it feels. Like it just feels like one is story building and action. The other's a little bit pared down on the story and is like just action. But I will say that the battle system in this one is just 10 times better than the original. I really agree, like it better. It feels better. It's more enjoyable. You still have that problem where at times you're like, oh God, I got to figure out what I'm going to do. But technically that is what you would do. If you face a bunch of people with up-close weapons, is you would want to use whatever strength you have. So it pays off.
Yeah, and I felt like you had more options too, because you can pick up weapons from the ground, you can disarm people. It just feels like there's always a creative solution.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
I think that we just have a lot of games too. It'll be forgotten. It's like when these games were released back in the day, when the original Ghost was released, there just wasn't a lot of these, and now there's so many. There's just so many of those games and so many games as a whole. Regardless of any issues in the industry, and we have a ton. There were a ton of layoffs this week. There were a ton of layoffs last week.
Yeah,
those are real issues, but ultimately we're getting a shit ton of games, and many of them are good. Which I know that sounds weird, but that can be a little rough. Because dude, if you get a list of 20 games, you may only be able to remove 4 as bad, which is probably one of a kind time frame. That usually is pretty rare. In the past, I would be able to chalk off 10 or 12 and go, this just doesn't look for me. It doesn't look like it's ready. It doesn't look blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, because there's so many, it's just a good time period for games. There's so many titles. I mean, Silksong came out and I randomly mentioned it. And one of the guys was like, which one's that? And they're like, oh, of course. Yeah, no, I played it. And they weren't being a dick. There's just so many games they had forgotten for a brief moment that had just come out. And you were like, damn,
Yeah.
that means a lot when you get that kind of stuff.
It's also cool that Ghost of Yotei is as good as the first one. It sounds kind of weird because you might want it to be way better as a second game, but actually what we see a lot of times is that, like the sequel a lot of times is not as good as the first one. Because of what you said, the first one has the surprise element. It's got the, everything's fresh and interesting. And then the second one sometimes falls flat. But I felt that this one was so far better almost on every aspect. You might say the story, maybe you liked it better in the first one, like you said, because it's a bit more like maybe emotional. Like maybe there's more depth to the story in the first one. But I just felt like big kudos to the developers in being able to do a game of this scope and execute on it a second time. I think there's a lot of pressure there.
I would say character-wise, I don't like her as much because she's just not there. Nothing.
True.
It's just there.
She's just a vehicle for revenge
and the story is, give or take, I like a revenge story, so I'm okay with it. I mean, let's be honest, John Wick 1 was literally 1, 2, 3, 4.
Killed my dog.
It. Yeah. And in the fourth
Yeah.
one, still pissed about a dog, even though he's got a new one, and then he lets everybody
Is that still the thing?
It's sort of a joke, not so much, but it is funny.
Okay.
It's degenerated into like such a weird. I like them, but it's definitely degenerated.
Yeah.
I would say overall though, as good, better than, or even less than. They're both good. And as good. We also get times where a sequel fixes everything from the original, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense because I don't think the original had a ton of stuff to fix.
Yeah.
I think they fixed the one thing that was a little bothersome to people, which was rock, paper, scissors. And that now that they've adjusted that and they've made it still somewhat rock, paper, scissors, but maybe rock, paper, scissors, dynamite. They've added a couple little things in there, removing the stances. And
I don't know about you, I found I could still use whatever weapon I wanted pretty well. It wasn't like perfect, it wasn't the most efficient, but I would still like power through. If it was a shield guy, I didn't feel like I needed to use the Kusarigama. I could, I was doing just fine with swords or maybe the big sword. You definitely felt more optimized using the proper
I would say it was just
counter,
time.
but
if you're okay with spending a little extra time, you can. I usually ended up switching out because I could feel the time clicking down, but because it was weapons and not stances, which didn't make a ton of sense, that suddenly your sword would be better in a different stance, which is what the first one did. You were like,
that's true.
That's weird.
And they looked very similar too. It's just like, I'm holding the sword here and,
So this one with the different weapons just feels, overall like it fiction-wise. And fiction helps. It does help, Yeah.
I
mean,
because you can visually see like the Kusarigama ball on the chain. Like, that's going to be effective on the shield, right? So you can kind of in your mind map
yourself
what works. Yeah.
Did you guys play in Japanese or English? I did about 30-70, I think. 30% Japanese and then 70% English. Japanese was Japanese, but I don't understand Klingon, nor do I understand Japanese, so sounded pretty good.
Yeah, no, me neither.
I could tell. And
the first one I played in Japanese, but I found myself so much just looking at the subtitles that it was a bit bothersome. You're riding your horse or something.
Wouldn't it be cool if they had a technology that let those subtitles float or something? To where like you were still, I don't know, like you would still get them,
like in the
you wouldn't have
middle of the screen somewhere.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like, for example, I'm rewatching Narcos, and I spend a lot of time doing this, staring down.
Yes,
because I'm reading all this shit, and I'm like, okay, that's what he said. That I don't know.
And especially if you're playing, like if they're yapping, but you're also controlling, it becomes.
Yeah, I brought that up to somebody that if there's a character bark and it's in another language and you're fighting and you miss that bark, and it's a bark about, let's say, them warning somebody that somebody's coming, or just a battle bark, and it could help you, that's sort of a issue.
I love like barks. I don't know if I heard that before. Like calling it barks is a good.
Yeah, developers call them barks because they're one-offs. They're like, don't let her get back to that weapon. That's a bark. So which makes sense, right? Like I sort of dig the term.
Yeah.
Oh, they're talking about Jen versus her. Yeah. So yeah, that one came out. That was good. How close do you think you are to the ending?
Not that close, man. I've done, because I'm just kind of free flowing a lot. I've done one of the main guys. Well, I've done the first one in the starting, the snake, and then I did the Kitsune guy, which gives you the Kusarigama, because I wanted to get that. But yeah, just kind of.
Can I also point something out?
Vibing.
No matter what a developer tries to tell you, you can go to anybody, you can do anything. If you attach a fucking weapon to a boss, expect the bosses to be done 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just be honest. If there are 4 weapons,
I've heard like people who were coming into my stream, they were saying, "Oh, it's interesting," because they had gone to a different guy first.
Correct.
And I didn't expect that.
You know that those bosses are there. Let's be honest. Unless you're just a masochist or you hate a particular weapon, that's not what you would normally do, because those weapons are useful against more enemies. So you are going to notoriously see people aim for getting those weapons, especially when a game's entire selling point is having those weapons. So it's like, it just sort of bothers me whenever I hear a developer be like, blah, 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 or anybody, even one of us, when we're like, oh yeah, you can do anything. It's like, what, can you? I mean, you can, but I think that for a majority of gamers, they're going to want to aim for the weapons that they like. And if they like all of them, which I think those are good, solid weapons, you're probably just going to go for those. You're just going to try to get those weapons as soon as possible because you like weapons. We all like weapons.
Yeah.
Like, well,
I think if anything, the thing that works with that is all weapons feel pretty good.
Yep.
Like there's like a time and place for all of them, and didn't feel like you were shit out of luck if you went for a bad one first.
Some of the dudes are meant to be done in order. They just don't tell you. Yeah, exactly. I did go to the hardest.
You can kind of tell too by the locations. Like the one I picked was a bit further away. And I definitely felt like, maybe it wasn't supposed to be the very first one.
I went to the hardest one on my second or third because I like to explore and I like to capture footage. So I was like, I'm just going to travel and skip all this shit. And there was a guy there and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go in here. But they don't level. It doesn't feel like they level adjust. So there was definitely a couple hard fights where I was like, oh. And you got back. This is what I'm saying. You got enemies that obviously were set up for the other weapon that you didn't have. So you're like, okay. I sort of see
true.
Because they're going to put those in there, Moving on from there, let's get a couple questions out real quick. Again, we're not going to answer them all, but there were enough here that I do want to get to some of them. Always Cooking says, it's early, not gaming related. It's early 1999. You receive a mysterious email with a link to a ChatGPT model. Only you've received this mysterious email. What happens next? Only you have received this mysterious email. So I'm thinking he's saying you have ChatGPT, but you had it in 1999. Well, first of all, I'd need to find a computer that could run it. Because just because I got an email doesn't mean a prompt wouldn't take 18 hours to try to get it to answer the most simple of questions. Can you imagine? But let's pretend he means it's dialed into today's day and date. I would just I wouldn't trust it 100%, so I'd just make my life more efficient, get some answers. I mean, it'd be very difficult to use it back then because I don't know if I'd trust it.
Not only that, man, but the reason we can use it pretty well now is because we're attuned to what's a decent prompt, how to get some value out of it.
The tech.
But like the early days, man, we had no idea how to prompt that thing. Most people were getting like just a Google search worth.
You know what else I do? I just realized, you know what, Johnny? Do you know what you could do? You could make a killing. You could make art with it because no one would know that art.
Oh,
Or you could become an editor
Yeah.
for books, because you could just just throw some shit in there and you could be like, yeah, I'll edit
or
500
like a
books.
personal assistant.
Yeah.
Just summarizing meetings or whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. You could definitely. That's a good one.
Livet says, hey, John, has Johnny heard about Timo joining 2XKO?
Okay, so a little context. 2XKO is the Riot fighting game that they've been talking about for a long time. There have been some early access previews that dropped. IGN had a really positive one, for example. They showed quite a bit of the game. And I think it looks quite good for a fighting game. It looks both quite accessible, but also high skill cap for people who get into it. So I would recommend check it out if you like those games. To the question, Warwick is like a wolf/dog character, and Timo is a tiny, like cute little dude with short arms and legs that shoots darts at you and is super annoying. And those are both already in the game, actually. So there you go. And yeah, they look pretty cool.
I could understand you, but I just want to point out to chat, I am aware that he had a connection issue right there. We had a connection issue. Too many people on Battlefield eating the internet. Yeah, but you turned into a robot, but I actually picked up on everything you said. Yeah,
you got most of it.
We almost for the last couple days, people have been streaming that and doing a bunch of stuff in our Discord for that game.
Yeah,
I'm playing it. It's pretty okay.
Would you try it out?
Oh no, it didn't look good enough for me to try it out. It was good enough to watch, but it definitely sort of janky for me. But it looked passable. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. Sounds weird, but it was fun to like just watch them play and do their little thing, and some of the characters.
Still sounds bad.
Still sounds
Let's
bad.
Move
Fantasticals, $5 super chat. Happy Friday, guys. Random question: if you were characters in a Kojima game, what would be your Kojima-like names? For example, Beanie Bearded Man, Jam Along Johnny. That's such a weird time for that discussion, because we spent hours about that just yesterday with Reg. Reg popped into the Discord and he streamed a shit ton of Death Stranding 2, and we just could not stop laughing at his naming conventions. Die Hard Man. Yeah, I mean, I'd go with Beanie Bearded Man. That'd work for me. Kojima's naming conventions remind me of a person. So, for example, if I wrote something in Japanese, it reminds me of a person who is writing names because of what they are and then doesn't change those names later. So, like, because it's another language. So, like, Swordman makes sense because you're naming what he is, and you'll go back and change those names later. Almost like you're writing a novel and you haven't decided the name of the character, but you're like, I got to remember what he does. He's a sword guy. So you call him Swordman. Yeah, almost like placeholder names, Beard Guy,
Dude,
in D&D, you would be blown away by how many times, and it makes sense in a way, too, where you'll say the NPCs are saying about the Great Clock Tower, right? They don't call it, they might call it Big Ben if like it's a futuristic, post-apocalyptic game about London or something. There might be Big Ben, but the thing is pretty normal in a lot of gaming conventions. Like when you do D&D, because if you called it, some weird ass name, there's a very high chance that people are going to forget what the fuck it means, or they're going to spend hours trying to pronounce it. So if you call it, the big clock.
Yeah, we do it all the time when we play games.
Yeah.
We'll call something like tall guy, tall boy.
Yeah.
Instead of like the actual name.
Yeah, when you're playing a shooter, nobody.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I don't hear a lot of people using the official names. They'll
right.
be like Fatty to your right.
For example, in Space Marine 2, there's the Ravager and the Lictor, and I always get those mixed up. So you just call them like Snake Guy, or
absolutely.
You have these shorthand names.
Claw Dude. Yeah. I mean, and that it also helps for newcomers, because if you say Lictor, the guy's going to be like, "No, I didn't." You're like, "No, not licked her."
Whatever that means.
Lictor. Yeah. And you're going to have an issue with communication. So if you just say Claw Dude to your right, person looks to the right, and there's a guy with claws, you're like, "Gotcha."
Yeah.
Check.
Gotcha. Big claws.
Yeah.
We're in.
Yeah. Make sure everything is completely demoted to its most basic terms.
Yeah.
Good questions though on that. Let's see, what else do we got for questions? This is from I don't think this copied the name. Oh, maybe it's Evo02 Cantankerous. Damn it, I can't see who asked this question. But they said Elon Musk says the X AI company, whatever, Twitter X, will release a great AI-generated game by the end of 2026. That's it? No question, I guess. I don't know if a game's going to be great and generated by AI by 2026. Weirdly enough, X's the Grok AI engine is good for some stuff. It's really actually good for some stuff. I don't see anybody releasing a full game created by AI. That would be rough. Dude.
Yeah.
Like give it time, man. People are blowing shit out of proportion on all sides, you know. It's like, yeah, I don't see that.
Well, also there was another thing they said about making a great movie. I think it was a good movie by the end of 2027, which is interesting that the game is like, I guess, easier to crack than the movie. I don't know if I'm reading too much.
Do you think so? Okay, it's possible. Well, okay, you know what? It is possible because they're not saying the engine would be AI. They're saying assets and creating it would be AI. You could do that in Unreal or Unity and, you know, build your assets using pictures, which then turn into 3D models, which you can do quite easily in AI. So I don't know. I guess
maybe,
I think the game is probably easier. The movie right now, you have shit where, like, if a character passes in front of a light, the light color changes when it goes out the other side because Transformers don't memorize the way we do. You know, there's not that transient memory. I just don't know if you would see that. However, if he decided to curb and we understand what kind of game we're talking about, which would be something that would be like a, you know, a platformer or something.
Yeah, maybe a simpler game, but
a simpler game. Then you could make one. I don't know if I would consider it good, but he's also, you know, despite whatever thoughts people have, good or bad, Grok in particular, there are some things that is actually stunningly good at. So, you know, and one of them, weirdly enough, at times is programming. But you still need some human interaction there to decide.
At the same time, Elon Musk's ETAs have been famously unreliable. Not to
ETAs
cast judgment
like
on him.
He says it'll come out at a certain time.
Like target dates and stuff. So I think that's optimistic. But hey, it's a cool goal.
Target dates are always weird if you haven't started creating something right then.
A lot of those are like, you know, finger to the wind kind of thing.
Well, not only that, but AI changes just like anything does. If you say I'm going to be the fastest racer by the end of 2026 in F1, if F1 technology greatly advances to the point to where you're no longer able to capture it, or everybody else captures it the same way you do, that's not necessarily the same. If you were trying to say we've locked in tools today and we're not going to advance with new tools, we're going to use these tools, can I make something? Of course you can make something. Will it be the best thing ever or a great one? Probably not, but I don't know. I've seen some AI created content that looks pretty good in the short term, but in the long term, it seems rough. It seems like it wouldn't be possible, but hey, I'd love to be proven wrong. This one was brought up again for some reason. This didn't copy over. Johnny, if you get a chance, can you tell me who said this? Says Walton Goggins will appear as the Ghoul in Fallout 76 expansion. Yeah, I'm excited as hell for that. If nobody knows, that's the Ghoul in the TV show. He's going to be in Fallout 76, which I think is awesome. I love that actor. I love the idea of him being. I have no issue if they're already in a TV show about the game, bringing him in. I play Star Trek Online all the time, and they constantly have actors from the TV show doing voiceovers. I love that.
Yeah.
Did you see who asked that?
It was actually me. I just posted that in there.
You posted it. Okay. That would explain why I see your fucking image like 11 times because you're posting news. And
okay.
It made,
there you go.
When it copy pasted it in, it looked like different people. And I was like, what the fuck is going on, man? Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I'm excited for that, man. I'm excited.
I think it sometimes could bring people that like the show into the game. You know, they could just think it's cool. Like, hey, I get to go in there, see the guy in the game.
It's a shout out. And dude, thank fuck that actors are embracing games and games are embracing actors.
Yeah,
and
it's cool.
And TV shows are
McConaughey.
Yeah, McConaughey's doing. I almost called him McConaughey as well. McConaughey is doing a game. He's doing Exodus. So, Solly, $10 super chat. Just stopping in to leave money for grilled cheeses and Monster. Thank you very much, because I'm almost out. Saving the pod to listen at work tomorrow. Praise Odin.
Excellent.
Praise him in all his glory. Zonda, $5 super chat. Happy Friday. Just happy to be able to catch the podcast live for the first time. Excellent. Gonna be a downer because we're not good, but I appreciate you showing up for the first time. Yeah, man. I definitely appreciate the super chats. Those help. So, with the Ghoul, with Star Trek, there's also DC Universe. They'll have some of their actors. I love that. I like it. I like mixing and matching those. I will say that our infatuation that's incestuous now with becoming like game or movies, though, is a little bothersome. Like the Game Awards with the constant movie stuff. It's like, at some point, and especially because gaming is bigger than movies, imagine you were the best at something, and instead of trying to improve yourself, you're trying to better the fifth guy behind you, which is movies are way behind games now. Games industry is massive, and we're still trying. There's almost this embarrassing, like, young child trying to impress their older brother. And we're past the older brother. We passed the older brother years ago. And yet all of our awards, all of our it's like, hey, look who we got. And it's like, great, whatever. But you know what? The Oscars should be happy they get John Carmack to come in. Like, not the other way around.
Not the other way around.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. Or you could say the Critical Role guys and gals, they do their stuff. You're seeing them in cartoons, and you see them in games and blah, blah, blah. Those guys should be happy we're there, not the other way around. You know, it's very odd to see us still,
it's a bit backwards.
Chasing the tail. Yeah. I mean,
doesn't it feel like
done with that?
Some games are trying to be like movies as well, like the Kojima stuff. You know, we see a lot of stuff that has the 3-act thing,
for sure,
and it's trying to give you the same feeling of a movie overall.
And in the past, you'd have full motion video, which we're doing a bunch of. By the way, thanks to everybody who came the last weeks, which was massive. I appreciate it. Patrons and I got together and we did. Dude, that was great. Fucking so much fun, man. Playing FMV. But anyway, FMV is like that. We get a lot. Telltale, you could say, are definitely of that ilk, where they've got that feel of movies and stuff like that, which I'm fine with. It feels to me that it's weird to consistently have this desire to, like, get them on our stuff or whatever, which is why I like 76. It got its success after a big failure when it first launched. It got its success. It did well. It's got its stuff going well for it, and then the game does well. Finally, and then the show does well, and you merge them instead of chase after them, which I think is more healthy ultimately. Rogerio says 3-act thing is a storytelling thing, not exactly copying movies. True. Yeah, I guess.
True. It's more like the traditional structure of movies seems to be applied sometimes to games.
I knew what you meant, and also I would say with games, because they're interactive and you can stretch out the wrong act. You can Frodo Baggins your way through the ending of a game for 75 hours telling everybody goodbye. So you can make any part of those games feel terrible much easier than a movie. The pacing in a movie is directly controlled. The pacing in a game is like, good luck, because that game player could do the craziest shit and you would have no plan, But I think sticking to a general 3-act is probably smart. But what you were talking about is like Death Stranding with like a bunch of actors, these long cutscenes with acting in them that is less serving of the game and more serving of the movie part of the game. That is directly translating or trying to be a movie, which I'm also fine with as long as it feels like one cohesive thing. I mean, Quantum Break was probably one of the biggest. Quantum Break had full episodes that were interspersed between the levels. I was one of the few who sort of dug it. I dug the idea of it. But they were full movies. So you would get that dichotomy. I think one nice thing about Death Stranding 1 and 2 is their characters in the game, and they're digitalized, and they're cartoony characters, or cartoony or game-looking characters. Where in Quantum Break, it was an FMV. So you would go from cartoon-looking or game-looking, Unreal-looking games to then a show. And that's really hard to do without you having that separation of church and state kind of thing, where they look so different. Mass
Yeah.
Effect 2 is more like a TV series. Yep, could be. They should make a game of my life. It's like a movie. They should make a game of my life. It's like a movie. Okay. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Dude, I would be pissed if I had to see my life going before my
movie.
eyes when I die, because it would be a Brazilian movie when you think about it.
Oh, true. True.
It would be terrible.
And mine would just be like a series of absolute failures and stupid stuff, and then not a lot. Not a lot. Like, you know how it is? Everybody thinks everybody else's life is so exciting. Like when you're a kid, maybe your friends were doing a get-together, whatever, and you weren't going. And you were like, I bet you they're having the best time of their lives.
Yeah.
Not a good time. It's never a good time. They're having the best time of their lives because I'm not there. It's the best time of their lives. And then you talk to them and you're like, what'd you guys do? We played Virtual Fighter for a while. And then, somebody got a headache and we called it off.
Just wanted to go home.
Yeah. I got there. I played a little bit. I just wanted to go home. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, I think after you explain that, it makes more sense in my head that Kojima games feel like movies, not so much because of the structure of the acts, like I was thinking. It's more because it's so much around cutscenes, I think.
Yeah, I knew it.
Right?
Yeah.
I actually wasn't kind of reflecting back now. I think it's more so that, and it gets a bit tiring for me. They did a better job in this latest one, for sure. But still.
I think this latest one just works better in most ways. Feels good.
Yeah.
Feels good. I enjoyed it. And I didn't really enjoy that first one at all. And to jump into this one and be like, holy shit, it's actually delivered quite well. Yeah. Okay, here's something I didn't expect to read. Wildlands did a good job with the voice actor. Older game, but pretty good balance. Dude, I play Tom Clancy Wildlands a shit ton, and I have no clue what he's talking about. Does he mean Breakpoint? But Breakpoint, the guy was barely in there. That was Barenthal, who was there for like 37 seconds. Remember that shit?
Yeah, it wasn't
Remember
a lot.
when they sold you on Barenthal being in there? You're like, yeah, man. There's going to be awesome Punishers getting in there.
Like
and he
20
punished
minutes
everybody by fooling us into believing he was going to be in that fucking game. Or Esposito in Far Cry, where he showed up for like 7 seconds and it was gone. Yeah, I don't know about Wildlands. I'm trying to remember even Wildlands, even a single like...
Yeah.
Dude, I legit played Wildlands last week and I have no clue what that means. I guess maybe Ironside, because he returned for the Splinter Cell stuff. Or the Predator. Maybe he means the Predator. The sounds of the Predator were really good in the DLC. He's like, that voice actor did an amazing job with the Predator sound.
It's a bit of a stretch.
It is, but the Predator
we must
sounds
be missing
creepy.
something, man.
Imagine you were sitting at night. It doesn't matter where, and you heard the Predator sound. You'd shit biscuits because there's nothing else in the world that sounds like that. You wouldn't be able to say that's a cricket. That's the world's largest cricket right outside my door. You wouldn't be able to say that. You'd be like, predators are real, and it's coming after me. That's the only...
We're absolutely dead.
We are for sure dying. Yeah, you'd just be like, we're out. Yeah. Moving on from there, what else do we got here before we jump into the big ends? Metal Hellsinger Studio closed as part of Funcom cuts. Man. Yeah, the Funcom cuts suck. Man, I like them. I mean, they all suck. All the cuts suck. But, dude, so many cuts in the last couple weeks. Jesus Christ. Man, so many.
Yeah, so the Funcom one I just put down was about the studio behind Metal Hellsinger, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think it was like, how many? Do you know, just off the top of your head, how many? Honestly, I haven't been tracking how many on a lot of these because we were looking this up yesterday in chat, and there might have been 5 announcements. And at some point, I just started getting depressed looking up at the numbers, just being like, oh, man, that's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, so many layoffs, so many. And a lot of these games, when you look at something like this, I don't know how that's sold, but you can definitely tell that a lot of these are games that were delayed or games that didn't come out or games that didn't do well. The ability in gaming to release something that isn't a moment one and live is so low now. So low. You have to basically be like, boom, we're hitting it. we're hitting the ground running with a total success. If you don't,
yeah, because even good stuff,
I know,
they get sacked sometimes.
Yeah, true. Well, and remember, I mean, I don't know how they do it now. Well, I do. Some of them don't do it this way, but in the past, it would always be 50% of staff day one. So you would basically have 400 working. The moment you released, you only need 200 for maintenance and continued patching.
Boom.
They're gone instantly. Then you have another 50, 50, 50, and you would cut down to your, 100 people, 50 people who prepare for the next game, because that's just the way at the time it was. It's no longer acceptable to do that. I'm not saying it was acceptable then. I'm just saying it was absolutely the status quo that a company would, and we're not talking like a 7-person company, but once you got to a bigger company, even a indie or a smaller, development group, they would still do that. I mean, you've done it. You know what I mean? Software development. When you release, sometimes
I feel like
if you don't have something coming, you have to, figure something out.
I was gonna say it's especially tricky with games because you have different facets of media, right? So you have like the music stuff, the pre-production,
voice work,
sketches, artwork, voice work, world building, writing about world build. There's all these layers of things.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've done like that part, you technically don't need anything from those folks. So it's also hard to shuffle them around and have them do other stuff. Yeah. But I think studios have gotten a lot better now at having people do a bit of everything. So, you're basically like, more general skill set where you can do, you can be the bush guy for a few months and then you move on to, maybe doing some other stuff. I think people are just becoming more generalistic in their skill sets. They're having to adapt.
You were saying the developer or the company, but I agree with that, but I think a lot of it's a reflection of just people learning multiple facets because it's easier to learn. In the past, you couldn't even...
That too.
Dude, I remember going into work and we were learning a bit of a programming language that we needed we were using SCADA and a couple other technical systems. You need to know some of it. It was a fucking book, a real book. Like there was no PDF. There was no website. It was a book. And so your ability to learn was directly attached to if you had that fucking book. No lie. I had the book one time and I took it home to study and they called me to tell me they needed me to come back in so they could get some data out of the book. That's how like it used to be for learning. And now you have your YouTube and all that stuff. And a lot of people want to learn a bunch of stuff. And so they go out and they find those ways to do it. But it was quite difficult at the time. I love to see it. I like to see that ability for people to jump around, And then you also have, and this is negative to some people. I don't think it is. And I don't understand at the core of my being why this is negative because I feel it's unfair. But recently when talking to a dev, he was also doing the voice. And he was getting pushback that he was doing the voice because what he was doing was he was taking his voice and he was altering it with a voice modulator that, by the way, wasn't AI. But people were saying it was AI slop. But it wasn't AI at all. It was his voice run through a modulator and he knows, what do you call it? Like Fruity Loops and, Ableton and all that shit. So he was like, I don't have the money to pay a voice actor. So I'm going to voice act my characters. I'm going to adjust their voices. And I would say it was good. It was to the point to where, he was doing different inflections and stuff. It was really good. And it's a smaller team. It's 6+.
So it was legit. It wasn't slop.
But he's not being told it's legit. He's being told he's doing AI slop because he's using electric devices, basically.
So once again, it's the slopification of slop. Yeah,
the shitification was the original tagline that everybody's like, I learned a new word today. But the real thing is, like you said, or the accusification of everything. I mean, the same thing happens right now in music. You have people who are like, I've never used anything to create my music before. By the way, stand by while you use a VST to lay down a beat. And you're like, dude, you quite literally just used a system that did it for you. Like, what are we talking about? We're starting to get to this point. And of course, there's the generation part, which is where you hit a button and it grates everything. But within that, there are people who are using AI to help them. For example, a big thing is AI to fix voice inflections and weird shit in games, compression, clean up voice. And we were talking to a dev, and he's like, my boss said I couldn't use it because they were worried about what Twitter would say. And I was like,
just
you're worried
the
about
perception.
what? You're worried about cleaning up a voice? And they're like, yeah. So what are you going to do? Are you going to release it with shitty sounding audio? And he's like, yeah, that is exactly what we're going to do, because we're so afraid of everybody saying that, how dare you clean it up using
That's
AI.
like the opposite knee-jerk reaction, right? That some people are having.
Yeah.
Where they just don't want, they want the opposite of that.
Yeah. Whatever that may
I
be.
wonder almost, yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting to see where that's going to go. If it's going to keep going in that direction, and we just want more and more flawed stuff so that we can instantly see
that
it's not generated, because the imperfection is a mark of non-generated. I don't know.
You could, but you know what somebody's going to do? They're just program flaws into the AI stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we started seeing that, some of the chatbots do or different inflection, different sounds and stuff.
I'm like, when I talk to AI, I need an answer right now. I don't want you to go, let me think about it. No, don't fucking think about it.
No, you know it. Why are we inserting
if I'm
these?
saying, what day is it today, or what time is it in this other place? Would you please just fucking say what time it is?
It's like chromatic aberration. It's like you're now adding back in artificially this
from a
defect
camera that you're no longer using.
We no longer have this defect. We can just move on from this. Yeah.
So hopefully these layoffs, they're going to continue. It sucks. Hopefully a lot of these people stay in. The developers that I'm talking to, when we were doing consulting last week, when I was doing it last week, I was like, well, the people none of these guys from these two companies have been laid off, but I was like, are you seeing them leave the industry? And it was like, of the 5, 2 left the industry, 3 stayed in. One of them is considering leaving. But they're not like, I hate games. They're quite literally, I like food. And
I think that's the unfortunate.
Smaller, so that
is the unfortunate part.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate. Yeah,
we are losing people.
Right. Yeah.
Like some people that are good game developers are being forced to go do other stuff that pays. It could be like just like 3D modeling for, or anything like that where there's more money.
Not only that, the big thing I like is that the idea that you can learn more because you're not great. And so if you do a game and you get fired, whatever, you leave the industry, you can't get better at whatever it is, because most people aren't good day one, right? Takes a while to learn, takes a while to improve. And those people who carry that institutional knowledge and learn and pass on to other people how they learned, because you don't always pass on what you learn. Sometimes you just pass on how you learned, what you grabbed, what you grasped. Can you hear me, Johnny?
I can, perfectly.
Okay, just making sure, because for a second your video popped out and I was like, uh-oh. So you get that. But yeah, overall, I think the industry, we'll just see it shrink up. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. We're mature in how many people seem to be jumping into games and overall playing. It's not really growing a ton. So you're going to get a shrinking. Back in the day, man, you'd have a company going like, we're making 15 games and we've got 15 ideas and 4 of those might pan out. And financially, it actually worked, because a lot of people are saying it's because games aren't selling. True. But the other thing is also the investment money left. And so you don't even have the ability you don't have the ability to make a great, big, huge game from your 6 or 7 that you tried, and you went down to like, there's 2 out of these 6 or 7 that are going to be blockbusters, where the others might just be good or okay. It's not that anymore. And by the way, the same thing, I didn't realize this as much. Of course it's true. I hadn't really realized this. I just heard, God, he does indie movies a lot. He's a big name actor. Damn it. But he does indie movies a lot. And he actually just pointed that in movies, the indie movie has also died for the most part. And that both of those have sort of pulled back to this point to where getting that kind of thing made usually results in a personal investment. That's usually your best way of getting it made, because your investment on the side from like an investor is just gone. So Jay Reaper, $5 super chat, just got off work. Hey, yo. Johnny, your PC is doing a lot of like weird shit, just so you know. Like it's
Yeah, I saw your video go
doing a
away
lot
for
of
a
flickering.
second and then come back. I don't know if it's
I'm
Discord.
legitimately going to blame. Well, I don't think it's Discord. It could be, but I honestly believe it is just a bunch of people on the net playing a bunch of fucking games. I feel like every time there's a big title, this kind of stuff happens. You know what? It could be Discord because people are going to be in Discord playing the games. So it could be, yeah, because it definitely seems like it escalates at those moments. Dion says, I need to upgrade my surround sound. Had this one for 10 years. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know, man.
Has like
4.1
sound tech, has it changed a lot in the last
see, that's
few years?
They've added a couple codecs and stuff to audio. Like, they've improved Atmos. They've improved a couple of these. But in all honesty, man, if you have 4 speakers and a sub, you're probably
if you had a great
pretty
system,
good shape. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're good. Yeah.
The big problem is connecting, because that has changed.
Sure.
It's gone to other types of connections and putting things together.
The old cables with the bad contacts.
The bad contacts where nobody had thought of figuring out a better way to put this wire in the back of a device other than you shoving it in the back and hoping it doesn't short out.
Yes, dude. Even today, my speakers have the ones where it's the naked cable, and you're almost with your mouth and getting it
twisted. And then for a while there was twist, and there was these old shitty connectors that are not used anymore that you'd put around them and you shove those in. But now luckily they've got better connectors on the back. You can also replace those quite easy. Also, I saw something very cool for old systems that were naked wire. There are now connector adapters you can get where you put the connector adapter in there, and that's a quick release adapter. And so now you can just do any type of wire, not any, but you can do a different style of connector on the back. You just leave those sitting there inside of the speaker, and you never pull those out. And instead, you get your naked wire, put an adapter on that, and now you have the adapter to adapter, and you should be in good shape. Interference might be a thing, but who knows on something like that. My Logitech 540 system from 15 years ago is still working well. Yeah, they're speakers, man. They should work forever. They're a speaker. Dude, I have so many old speakers that still sound great, ancient ass speakers. Yeah. That's why you get people, musicians, they'll have the same fucking amp kit from because they like the sound too. I'm not saying some of it's not placebo. We won't get into that, but they've got their same fucking amp that's got a footprint on it from 16 years of playing the guitar or shredding, putting their foot up on it, where they're and they're just happy as they play them. So yeah, that stuff's amazing. When it comes to game stuff, what else do we got here? Let me throw this up and look at some of the other game stuff. Feel free to pop one in.
Okay, so there was one really cool game that came out this week called Absalom.
Game looks fantastic.
Yeah, so you posted about this, and I looked into it. I bought it straight away. It looks incredible. It's a little bit like Castle Crashers, but it's got roguelite elements on top, and it's really well done, man. And it has some incredible art. It looks phenomenal, and it's got up to 2-player co-op as well.
2-player?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Have you played it at all?
Yeah, I've played not that much, though, just a little bit before work today. It looked incredible, played great. It's one of those that, you have to move up and down on the screen, like the beat 'em up style. So I'm still getting a bit used to that. I haven't played that many in many years of that type, because the dodging is based on, up and down positioning instead of dodging forward or backward, which might be your intuition.
Reminds me of Altered Beast, and even though that you couldn't move down, but Golden Axe, those kind of old games. I loved it. The moment I saw it, it looked fantastic, and it's got a crazy ass levitating frog mage, which I'm always a fan of. Not many games have it, but if you do have that, throw it into any game, and I'll probably be a
frog
fan.
Have usually a win.
Yeah, the animation style, everything looked amazing on that game. There were again a shit ton of games that are have come out or coming out that I mean, some of these were popping up for review, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know that there was a review on the that there was a review code allowed for this right now. It's awesome to see so many. Let's see. So, looking at these right here with some bits of news. Sony quietly teasing GPU tech for its next PlayStation in a chat between Mark Cerny and AMD's Jack Hoon, highlighting Radiance Core's universal compression and path tracing advances. So, I was asked about this, and I'll give you my thoughts. Mark is really good at restricted improvements, really, really good at understanding like what a console is versus a PC and what they can do. Admittedly, though, I do want to point out that no matter how good Mark is, the PlayStation and the Xbox have almost like for like hardware. There's a reason why. It's because the hardware costs a certain amount of money. No matter what you want to put in it, sometimes you can't make some adjustments. So what Mark is really good at is looking in and saying, okay, we want to do this and do that. This one is different, though, because working hand in hand, in all honesty, I'm just being totally honest here. I'm blown away that Mark doesn't work for AMD. That's not me joking around. I think that Mark now AMD seems to be pretty high on Mark. This is like the third or fourth time they've thanked each other, and it seems like they're working super close. I could see Mark, going to work for AMD and like helping them with stuff. He's got really good ideas. He understands the hardware restrictions that are in consoles fairly well. Again, I want to point it out so that somebody doesn't, jump on this. Yes, there are a lot alike because of the cost. I think that what's going on now, though, is that PlayStation in particular, or Mark in particular, because he's such a nerd in a good way, Mark's desire to improve and assist AMD and adjusting things is not just for consoles. So Mark made that clear, but so did AMD, that he's jumping in to assist in some stuff. And the one that impresses me the most or excites me the most, Radiance Cores, I hate the name. Radiance Core sounds just like blast processing from the Sega Genesis days. Which blast processing was cool and it did work. But it was basically, it much ado about nothing when it comes to what exactly they're doing hardware-wise. But universal compression excites the shit out of me. So Kraken is really good, but Kraken wasn't his. Kraken's what they have. They have, I think the company's called Oogle, if I remember right, which is the Kraken compression that's on the PlayStation, and Xbox has their own. They're all working on compression, but universal compression is pretty fucking cool. And one of the reasons why is because if you imagine that the current issues that we're having right now in a lot of places is, so if you think about it this way, you have your RAM, you have your video card, and you have your CPU. All of those have their own width that they can talk to one another. And even internally, they might have the same different restrictions, different bandwidth that they have to talk to different parts in each discrete chip. And they're always all over the place because the technology is different for each device, drastically different. I would love to see somebody like Mark who goes in to make those more efficient and make those match up better. I think that would be very cool to see some compression stuff sort of jump up. I also think that it would be nice to see, especially in, ignoring the console for a second, AMD, NVIDIA taking steps to where they're not beholden perfectly to the DRAM, or not DRAM, but the VRAM on video cards. Because currently, I feel like we are in deep shit for VRAM, especially when you look at China, the tariffs, creation of. But if you can figure out a way to make it much more efficient in what you have in your total size of your memory on a video card, for instance, or on your CPU, that's only going to help everybody. I think that's great. Just like Intel's super CPU patent they did, fantastic idea. I don't see how that won't work out. It might take one or two revisions. I love this kind of tech. And Mark is, if you guys don't know who this is, he's basically Sony's lead technology guru. And he's so much so that AMD seems to love him and they're working hand in hand with him. Will this all turn out to be anything? It's early days. I'm not 100% sure this will turn out to be something massive or drastic because of the cost and putting these together.
Yeah.
But still, love to see a nerd.
I like that they have
his celebration. What were you saying?
Yeah. I like that they have someone like that in a position to speak directly to the customers in a way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of other companies, they don't have anybody that technical.
Yeah, Nintendo or Microsoft
really
are faceless.
Speaking.
I mean, Jason Reynolds is the main guy for Microsoft, but he doesn't really, he goes onto a podcast here or there, but no one ever knows how much power or technical push he's got, where Mark, you're like, okay, this guy's got it, you know.
Yeah, like someone involved in making some top-level decisions for hardware and stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool to hear it directly from a person like that.
I do think Radiant scores are going to turn out to be nothing more than more efficient ray tracing, though. I could be wrong. I absolutely would love to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. In all ways, shapes, or form, I want to be wrong. But ray tracing to me is one of the biggest scams that we've been sold ever. Yes, Cyberpunk looks shinier, but nobody's taken true, actual use of ray tracing yet. I feel we got it 1 gen, if not 2 gens early, and it created a dividing line for everybody. You can or you can't play this game. That fucking sucks. That's not that's not even a you can. I mean, some people have hacked a couple ray trace games, turned off ray tracing. They look like shit, but they've done that. I hate that arbitrarily ray tracing has put a line in the sand, and it's just been like, you're screwed if you're prior to this.
Yeah.
Like, it's especially the amount of money people bought on these, you know, because they did spend a lot. Now, does everybody have ray tracing? I would say a good number of people have some ray tracing ability on their cards, but its ability does not mean efficiency at all.
So, no, because a lot of these games, when you do have the option,
it doesn't.
You just leave it off a lot of times.
Yeah. And I love the idea of original authorship, but ray tracing is great if we were there technology-wise. But it does feel like we still have a while. And then this also says Vampire Survivors is getting online co-op as part of a 1.14 update. I for some reason thought that was co-op. I thought that was co-op day 1. I haven't played it.
Oh, interesting.
Have you played it?
When I played it, it wasn't. Yeah, I played a bit. Okay. It was single player only. Okay. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I can see that.
So 1.14, they're getting an update there. So if you haven't played it, if you're like me and haven't got a chance to play it, now might be the time. Grab a friend, jump into Vampire Survivors 1.14. Then this also says, look at this. Cities. Here's a game that doesn't need ray tracing to perform poorly. City Skylines 2, long delayed Bridges and Ports expansion is finally imminent. Dude, I absolutely cannot speak to its current performance, but I can say that was one of those games that you were like, God damn, that performs terribly. Man, that was a disaster on launch. And I'm a Skylines fan for the original. I love it.
And I think the biggest problem is that you see a DLC for it now, and you're still thinking about how it ran day one. That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's why.
Because at least I haven't heard
it runs now. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. We haven't heard of it, and they could presumably have fixed most of the issues, but it's not the type of thing that you see that much. You know what I mean? You don't see big articles saying, "Ooh, City Skylines now runs great."
Right.
We just don't get that info. So
you're left with your initial impression of a game that ran like shit that now has DLC, and you're like, the DLC motherfucker should be free, and it should be a patch to make it actually run well. And if you did that already, you need to make sure that's announced as loudly as humanly possible to everybody, so that people can look back at your title and decide if they want to get it or not. Ignoring the fact that some people will not buy it on moral reasons, you know. After having an issue, I got to let this guy out. Do you want to cover something?
Go for it.
Do you have something real quick that you can cover?
Sure.
I'll be right back.
So I saw something interesting as well. Xbox reportedly lost $300 million putting Call of Duty on Game Pass. Admittedly, this I don't think was official reporting. What the article I read was just saying that some people internally claimed this. So just kind of taking it with a grain of salt. It's an interesting discussion. You know, was it a mistake to put Call of Duty on Game Pass? It looks like they've maybe backtracked on that, right? Since I think only Ultimate will get it day one now. I think that was my understanding, that like Call of Duty is still only coming day one to the full fat version. Could be wrong on that, because I did get some of the tier stuff wrong last time. But I thought it was an interesting discussion, because they did, I think, make a slight change. Since the price hikes and everything, I think they are reassessing, like, hey, do we really open up everything day one?
Do you know why it was, too? Absolutely.
Why?
Two things. First one, they fucked up on their original Game Pass and sort of giving that out to everybody because they wanted a bunch of people to get into it. So on the lower tiers, day one was still there. So now they're like, day one is a year later on the lower tier. It's day one on the higher tier. They additionally allowed for people to basically detach the cost of reality from really what was going on with Game Pass. Game Pass's biggest issue to me was that they continued to do the $1 a month. So people got accustomed to it. And it was so weird when they announced the price. There were a bunch of people who were like, okay, I'm going to cancel. And then a couple days passed. And yesterday we were in voice chat and I was like, so how many of you really canceled? Because I knew who had said that they were going to cancel because we're going to talk about it in the podcast. None of them did. Zero. Now, the reason why is because they're Microsoft fans. They're not fans of really anything. Games. They didn't cancel because it took them a little while to realize that they still, when they started looking at whatever titles they wanted to play, there was still a financial reason for them to keep it. Microsoft fucked up big time. They had the money prior to the $70 billion that they paid for Activision. They had this time. And here's the thing. When you make Game Pass 11 years ago, you don't think you're going to buy Activision. That's ridiculous. If you thought you were going to buy Activision 11 years ago, you wouldn't have fucking rolled out the costs that you rolled out because you'd be assuming in the future we need to do this. That's why the cost increases have happened in this tight time frame. It's not just because of the industry and just because of all the stuff. It's because they did do that. And it's like, yeah, you have to make your money back. I think the ultimate tier makes sense to have your day one there. I don't like day one a year later because... is it going to be just like for sure a year later, or is it going to be for some games? We've also now had third parties who say we're still doing our day ones on the middle tier, which I thought Microsoft would be in charge of that, and it doesn't sound like they are. So third parties can still do that. So you're like, okay, that's interesting. It makes sense. A third party can choose, sort of where they want to deliver, and and then Microsoft will have deals as well. So. It's a weird situation, but dude, we won't know until this next financial round if it was worth it in new subs, which there's probably some people who weren't going to play it who did. I don't think that makes up for it. There's probably some people who jumped in now and are getting Outer Worlds and they're not, you know what I mean? So they're holding on to a sub for technically a longer period of time. There was also a news report that came out recently that said new gamers only buy 2 games, but one of the biggest problems that they didn't mention in that article was how many of those new gamers only buy 2 games because they have a sub for 3 other companies. EA, Ubisoft, Sony, Microsoft, that's 4, but you get my drift. So these news reports that are blurbing out for clicks almost never cover the whole industry and be like, but is it possible that they're here now? Because most of the people I know buy more than 2, which I think 2 is probably pretty low. In the general people I talk to, 2 is low, is what I meant to say. I think most people, especially when you're talking about AAA, last year and the year prior, but I think also when you look at AAA this year, there was less. Sony doesn't have any big third-person action adventure, Horizon, Days Gone, blah, 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 Last of Us. And they keep regurgitating the same game like they are in a fucking time loop. They just get The Last of Us is so not
Last of Us is now a zombie in and of itself.
In and of itself. It has died and come back and shambled onto every system humanly possible. And Horizon Zero Dawn had a remake, right? So there is this very odd situation where, and you can only look at current, you can look at the past, but you can only say, hey, currently 2 people are buying, or people are buying 2 games. And it's like, but does that also indicate that the industry hasn't released the number of titles that are those big, I want to buy them titles this year versus maybe last year or the year prior? Sony in particular is known, I think, for selling those big third-person games that most of us get, or most people get. And then this report was done before Ghost of Yotai. So is that the third game this year? It's also, I would also like to see these reports done on like the 1st of January so that you take the full year into account. Because when you say up to, and then you look at what's coming out this next 3 months and you're like, all right, I feel like a lot of people might be buying 3 or 4 games in the next 3 months. Christmas is also a big purchase time. So to not include Christmas in your, do you see what I'm saying? Like there's just some oddities to it. But hey, 2 games. I don't think I've ever only bought 2 games ever, even prior to reviewing. I mean, I don't think I ever bought 2 games ever, but I didn't have this many free-to-play games that are so good. The big thing that popped up a couple days ago, I was talking to Not Dev Guy in the chat, and I was laughing, going, "Holy shit! I've seen you play like 12 hours in the last 2 days of games. Not a single one was a purchase game. 0. He had jumped to like 6 games, and all of them were free to play. And he's not the only one in that chat. Now, again, we're a YouTuber chat, so it's going to be a different mentality, and we're based on cost. But I was still like, man, the entire industry's changed in that way. Free to play games offer way more than they used to, you know?
And a lot of mid-price games, you know, coming in at the 40, 30 mark.
Yeah. Last of Us went the Skyrim route. We will keep releasing when you stop buying. That's true. Yeah, that is true. Oh, I missed a super chat, and I sincerely apologize. Bob 2, super chat, $5. Just wrapped up. KCD 2. Fantastic. Now on to Yotai. Masterpiece to masterpiece. We are spoiled this season. I was thinking about Kingdom Come. There's a lot of games I'll return to. What I loved about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is why I will never return to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not an immersive sim as much as it's a simulation that is also very immersive. And what I mean by that is the simulation part to me is almost much more than anything else. The washing blood off of you, all of these things, not being able to read stuff, tell you, like all kinds of that the last game did. I just feel like overall, I just will never play that game again because I liked what I played day one, but I don't necessarily want to experience that all over again, even in great DLC. I did do some of the DLC for the first. Did you do any DLC for the first game?
No, I played like the base game. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like that game's entire reason for me loving it is the very reason the idea of returning to it is just like, ugh. Zonda says, would you recommend finishing the first before finishing or before playing? Yeah, if you listen, it does a good job telling you some stuff in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And I'm just going to put my opinion out there. I think that there wasn't enough changed in 2 that you will magically feel like it's 1,000 times better. I think you should play the first one and then play the second one. However, they're very deep games, and you may not want to play the second one after you've played 40 hours of the first one. So you might want to identify how much you have patience for that kind of thing. I mean, if you told me Spider-Man 1 and 2, which I love those games, I thought they were very fun. If you told me 1 and 2 were coming out, if you told me Halo 1 and 2 were coming out, one right after the other, should I play, and 2, maybe they were both out, I would have a hard time deciding if I wanted to play it, wanted to play that many hours in a row of 2 games, even though I like them. It's a tough sell, man.
Yeah, because if you're just going to play one Kingdom Come game, and you know that because you know yourself. Yeah. Maybe it makes sense to play the latest iteration.
I agree. If you know yourself and you're like, this might be too much chewing, biting off too much, then It's like, bite the bullet on the side of losing some context for the first one. Yeah.
But you get a little extra with like some improvements and stuff.
On the other hand, as a person who rewatches shows and loves long amounts of time in one thing, I will say if you do like and you do think Kingdom Come's your shit, playing 1 and 2 after each other is probably 160 hours or 120 hours of insane pleasure. Like that, if you like that kind of thing, dude, let's say you were out on an oil rig or whatever and you didn't have the time to play 1, and now you've got 1 and 2 and their DLCs and you like those, holy shit, you're going to be like a pig in shit. You're going to be happy.
Sorted.
You're sorted
you're
for
just sorted
for 3 months of gaming, and awesome gaming, if that's what you like. That to me is fucking incredible. I just had a friend who has now played all the expansions that are available of WoW. Never played WoW before. So I sat him down. I was like, okay, I want to pick your brain. Like, what do you think? And he's like, dude, it was, 600 hours, I think is what he said he got out of it. But he played 600 hours, and he's like, it was 600 hours of the most enjoyable lifetime I've had in years. And I'm like, dude, for me, no way, because I'd played it prior. But for him, he had never thought of playing an MMO. He played a little bit, and he's like, dude, I sort of might like this. And he was just like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stack on everything. I'm going to sort of play through the stories, play through what raids I need to play through, and just enjoy my time. And he's like, that was one of the most magical experiences. So they exist out there. So had somebody just play Stalker 1 and 2 back to back. Had somebody just play Metro, all the Metro games back to back. That is fucking awesome. Like, as much as I don't want to do it, if it's new to you, fucking knock on, man. That's awesome. That's, like you said, sorted for a long time.
And have a crack, man, especially if you get like the game on a sale, or know that, so you're not like super committed on it, but give it a crack, because you never know when something's going to click like that. Yeah. And then the negative of, oh, there's so much content for me to get through, actually becomes the positive, because, oh, there's so much content for me to get through, and I love this. It's when you discover Brooklyn Nine-Nine or Lost or Supernatural, any show that has, like 12 plus seasons, and you think to yourself, well, should I really get into that because it's so long? And then you just get past that, you start watching, and you realize, whoa, it's amazing that it's that long.
Dude, because I'm just so excited when there's 12 or 14 seasons of something. I'm exactly the opposite. I'll find some procedural on TV that's been on since like 2005, and I didn't track it, and I'll be like, that thing's got 18 seasons. That's fucking incredible. I can't wait. And I'll get all excited. Yeah. And then if I don't like it, I've lost nothing. And if I do like it, I have unlimited, at least in my short ADD attention span, I have unlimited enjoyment. I'm like, dude, I get to watch something I enjoy every night, no waiting, every night for like a year and a half.
And it's just going.
And it's just going. CSI was like that for me, where I got into CSI a little bit, and then I popped out. And then when I went back, they already had like 65 spinoffs. I chose the ones I thought I would like, the spinoffs I would like. And it was some of the greatest enjoyment. I would come home, I would be excited because I had something to look forward to when I got home.
Yep.
Not that I didn't.
And you know what to expect.
You knew what to expect. Yes. And it's awesome. It's but you have to like it. Like, if you find yourself not liking it, then why would you, like a Kingdom Come? That's a lot, man. Kingdom Come's a lot to bite off in a game that requires immersion and you doing shit. A TV show, sit back, grab some popcorn, perform some sex, whatever you want to do while you're watching the show. I'm just saying, if that's your thing. But whatever, you're sitting there, you're watching some TV, you get to do it, and you don't have to really worry about like engaging with that character and moving around. You just get to watch. That's awesome.
CSI and chill.
CSI and chill. Yeah, maybe 2 people, CSI and 69. I'm just saying. But that would be rough. Now, there's a lot of
I got a little bit
in those.
Yeah, it's similar to that. I got a little bit into Criminal Minds, which is another one of these shows.
Dark as fuck, though.
And it's pretty dark, but it goes on, it has tons of seasons, right? I figured out recently that it just kept going. Yeah. Like, they have a season now where the guy who was the new guy, where I was watching, is now like full white hair.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You watch
it's
them
great.
Turn into an oak tree while you watch the show. Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah, it's aging with you. Great.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So the more the merrier. I had one that was like 100 and it was like 12 seasons, another one was 16, and I, like a pig in shit, man. I was so excited.
Yeah.
I was like, and I
absolutely
loved every one of them.
Yeah.
Let's see. So anything else for Xbox? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I personally believe that it was a mistake on their part to go this long and not like figure out their shit. And of course, that purchase was out of the blue.
Do you think it would have been better to say prices are the same, they stay the same, but for some really big games like Call of Duty, maybe you pay a little extra, or there's a separate purchase, or like a something different where you make up a little bit of the difference for the day one Call of Duty event, but everything else is still same price?
I don't like that, just simply because who chooses what's big, and what's big doesn't mean it'll be a good game. Because that would mean that Black Ops or Modern Warfare 3, which wasn't great, the remake or whatever that came out. I'm spaced on the name, but the one that came out with a super short campaign.
Yeah, I got you.
That would mean that one might be chosen to be one of the ones you have to buy. And honest to God, I just don't know if that's really fair to them.
True.
I think there's two ways to do it. You have the premium. And if you want to do, I don't like early access, but it seems to be a thing. If you want to do early access for another, whatever they charge for, like, you can get in 3 days early, whatever. I think that games are so weird and so varied that it's really hard. It's not like a TV show or a movie, man. Movies generally 2 to 3 hours. It's like, so we know exactly what we're going to put in our slots. I will say this, though. A lot of the subscription services on TV shows are doing that, or on, Amazon. They'll be like, this is on Amazon, but this isn't. And you're like, really? Seriously? Like some will be on something and some.
It's an additional subscription.
Hate it, man. Hate it.
Yeah.
The Minecraft movie is officially getting a sequel, dated for July 23rd, 2027.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about that. Right?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, the movie speaks for itself. It's just like silly, fun.
Yeah.
Just see what you get.
I don't think it's anything special, but it does definitely seem like a lot of people really enjoyed it. Let's see, what else do we got?
I had one thing here, by the way.
You're roboting. Give yourself just 1 second. You're super robotic because of Discord. Oh, yeah. I'll talk about this. Josh Sawyer did an interview, not an interview, he did an event where he was talking about games, and he said something that I thought was worth discussing. He was saying back in the day, we're talking when retailers had box sets of stuff, they were told at one particular time that RPGs weren't selling and they shouldn't make them anymore. And got a big laugh because he said, like, he asked them for the data from the retailer, and the retailer was like, no, you should just trust us. But there's a couple weird oddities to this. I totally get where he's coming from. It got a sort of a big laugh at the event. But I was like, there's a lot of caveats to that sentence. Not arguing with him at all. But I do want to point out that, like, first of all, at some point, you're going to know what you're selling, regardless. And if you're selling well, you're selling well. Secondarily, retailers want something to sell. So the idea that they're like, don't make these kind of games, they don't sell, to me indicates, for the most part, that was probably true in some way, because it would be very odd for a retailer to say, hey, this is selling a ton of titles, let's not make it. Which would be a little weird.
Yeah,
to be
let's
like,
not
let's
do
not
that.
make it. But yeah. I did think that the idea of trust me, you don't need to see the numbers is like, well, that's questionable. But on the other hand, retailers were definitely they didn't release the numbers. So it was sort of set in a gap, in like a stopgap moment without a bunch of data. But I do understand where he's coming from, of like, yeah, if you ask for the data, if somebody tells you something's not doing it, I guess the thing that I was thinking is like, why are you even asking them, or why are you even getting their input when you're the one,
True.
You're going to look at your books and go, this is or is not returning on sales, blah, blah, blah. But it did remind me of one of the oddest things that's ever really happened, which is that in the old days, if you would sell something to Walmart and they would try to sell it and it didn't sell, you had to buy them back, which is very weird. And he did mention that. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. That used to be a thing where, like, you would basically get them back, because they would remove it from the store shelves and they're not your storage unit, so they would give them back. And you'd be like, oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was weird back in the day. But I mean, that's the way physical materials happen. That's sort of the way it is. If you do ship something to China, let's say, to sell it, or China ship something here, if it doesn't sell, what are you going to do with it? You know, so what's happened is we're so accustomed to overnight shipping and quick sell through that you don't hear about it very much, where it's on store shelves and not selling, or in the back. It's either sold, not sold, and we've ordered more, we haven't ordered more. But back then, with everything being so slow, for example, when I worked at retail, it was every Tuesdays you would get games, no other day of the week. So when you would accept your Tuesday stock, that was the only day you got the games. Then it went to Tuesday, Thursday. So you would get a shipment of games on Tuesday, and you would possibly get a shipment of game on Thursday. But you wouldn't get any other games. Like those were the 2 days that FedEx or whatever, UPS, would show up at your office and deliver these games, these titles to you. And I always thought that was, it's like, I forgot, you know, just how advanced they are now, where retailers are getting stock probably by the hour. And for big games, they're either getting them early or they're getting them the day of. Early for sure, because did you see Battlefield 6 had got into some store shelves and been purchased by people? Did you see that?
No.
Yeah. People had Battlefield 6 early. I thought that was quite interesting.
Oh.
And it worked, by the way, because they had to have reviewers jump in. And by the way, yes, I did ask for a review, because I was like chastised for not reviewing that. Can't review it if I don't got it. And I asked, and I was told my name would be added, and I was like, okay, I'm not getting it. Like, the moment I got the response back, I was like, absolutely appreciate you, for sure not getting it. Ustad, $1 super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, sir. Yeah, it was one of those type of situations where the moment I got the response, I was like, copy that, not getting this. I don't even know if, I think most of these streamers, a couple streamers got it. Battlefield specific streamers, which makes sense. They want the people that they love it. It's what I talked about a couple months ago. It's like you'll start seeing that more.
Yeah.
So Powder Keg says some bookstores still send stuff back to publishers for refunds. There you go. Yeah. So still happening in some places. I just want to point out, I forgot there were bookstores. I mean, I didn't forget, but like,
when is the last time? Because you read a lot, but
yeah,
when's the last time you went into a
bookstore?
Legit bookstore. Yeah. Yeah, dude. They had like physical telephones back then. Yeah.
Dude, I have a physical telephone. Get the fuck off my back. What are you talking about?
Okay.
I also have a cell phone, but I've got a physical telephone. It's a very good honeypot, let me tell you. Fuck yeah, half a decade, maybe? Probably. Yeah, I would say half a decade, because like, I can order it from, I mean, dude, you can order it day one for anywhere now, because like we have Instacart, so I can literally just add the bookstore to Instacart and say, ship me my book to me. And it's like $2 delivery surcharge, and I don't have to get in the car and drive over there. And
cheaper, easier, more convenient. You get the book you want for sure. Yeah, it's...
Dude, convenience is such a... It's the damnation of mankind, maybe. Like, truly.
You know, it really is. Yeah, because it's... Everything is going down the path of least resistance.
Yeah, least resistance, convenience. And I think that then you're not working for it. You know, there's no wait time. It's like, I get it instantly. I don't like it, turn it off. I watch 5 seconds of the streaming thing. I don't like it, turn it off. I'm not saying you shouldn't if you don't like it, but there was something about, you know, a little bit of wait, a little bit of, you know,
a little bit of friction is actually helpful for you to generate the buy-in and the feeling of reward. And as much as I talk about reducing friction in the context of like games and stuff, actually in life, it's quite useful to add a bit of friction to certain things.
Yeah, even if it's just a tiny amount, you know.
A little bit.
Like sometimes you're just like, do we really want to remove all friction? But I guess we probably do. I mean, there's enough friction in real life. People, why add some more? For a lot of people.
It's that thing. It's that thing, you know, about stated preferences versus revealed preferences.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
In some sense, we reveal that we do prefer the convenience, right? Because we choose that consistently.
Yeah.
Even though we know it might not be the best for us.
Yeah. I used to manage a Barnes & Noble. LOL, still busy for book lovers.
It's interesting that Barnes & Noble is still
a thing.
kicking, right? Because they were, I think, U.S. specific.
Yep.
But they were the big like house for books, right? And they're still, I think, the primary physical book.
Can we go back to the convenience thing for 1 second? Because it is funny too, and this continues to resonate when it comes to simulation games, where the ability to get in and out of friction is fine with a human. They can play a FromSoft game. Very frustrating for some. A lot of friction there. A lot of just not telling you shit. A lot of whatever. You see that with simulation games. You see it with whatever. But then you do seek them out. You're like, so it's weird because it's like, I don't want any friction in my ability to get the thing that may add friction. It's very weird when you think about it. Because it caught me by surprise when you reminded me about the like what our preferences are. Our preference is the delivery should be frictionless. But you can choose to have friction in whatever you get. And some people do like that. But I want it to be frictionless getting to me. Streaming, cloud gaming, PDFs instead of real books, switch to Kindle, switch to streaming on your desktop. Like everything's instant, right? It's like instant. And then from there, you're choosing the level of friction you're now okay with. And the idea that we've joked about this, but the idea that somebody will play a logging game for like 24 hours where that person would never log in real life, even ignoring the physical hard part, store manager jobs. Dude, how many times do you hear somebody say retail is hell? Oh my God, there's a store simulator game. I'm going to go buy that.
Let's go.
And you're like, I mean, and I'm not doing the quizzical face saying I can't understand you. I'm saying that's what's awesome. It's also awesome about games, and it's weird. Or you watch a TV show about The Office when most people would never want to work at the office. But there's a connection there with the people where they're magnifications of who you've experienced in an office setting. Like those guys, those managers in those office settings in the office, or even in Chuck for a bit in the fake Best Buy, those are real people that a lot of us have experienced working retail. It's just magnified, but you see those people. It's so interesting.
Like,
I know that guy.
There's something about doing a craft in a game that feels like you get the reward without having to put in the actual work. So you're getting the reward of like maybe learning and becoming good at a craft, like PC building simulator. You're like slowly getting better at doing that, at least within the gamification of it. Maybe it's just that aspect of like you're getting the reward a little bit that you would get, but you don't have to do the real thing.
No, I think that's exactly what it is. Also, the reward is just much quicker when you do
true.
When you do
quick feedbacks, like
and when you whittle in a game, it's not going to make you take that entire time and cut your finger 6 times and do damage to yourself. It's like you A, maybe for an hour. It doesn't matter. You're still going to get it in a much quicker way than you would, in real life, which is everything takes.
And let's be honest, a lot of these games, yes, they will give you friction, some of them, but they also streamline a lot of things. Like, like Ghost of Yotei, you're not having to worry about where you're gonna, have
take
a pee.
Shit.
Or like all these, it's like streamlining, localizing the friction.
Nicho says it's zero consequences in games, and I flatly do not believe that. No, I don't believe it whatsoever. The consequence in games is a different type, but you can't tell me that your own life and time and effort is not a consequence. I do not believe that. If I spend time in a game and that game is good or bad or what have you and doesn't reward you, I feel that the consequences of time are vastly more important than a lot of other consequences. That is a consequence. That's just for me. That's why I'm saying.
So, like choosing to spend your time,
choosing to spend my time when I'm already working, I feel that there is it's a different style of consequence. So this is what we said at the very starting. It is a different style of consequence, but I do believe there is absolutely a consequence. Also a consequence of, let's say, playing a game you don't like and then being burned out. We saw that. How many times have we talked about reviewers where it's like you can hear them, you can smell in the very way in which they act that they're burned out. And to me, that is a huge consequence. If I was ever burned out on games, it would be a disaster. The likes of which has nothing to do with YouTube. Nothing at all. I would quit and I would go work somewhere else. I would figure it out. It would have to do with the consequence of deleting one of my biggest enjoyments. And I do think those consequences are easily trackable, almost as easy as the sweat from working out versus hitting A as CJ in GTA and getting buffer. Like
getting buffed.
Yeah. But admittedly, I think about this stuff. I know some people are just like, I'm playing a game, but I'm just saying, for me, getting a land mowing simulator because I have no land to mow. Dude, I don't know if I'd do a lawn mowing simulator. I have a lot of bad memories. I feel like that would be one simulator game I would not probably enjoy. And I think there is one that got pretty good reviews, if I remember right. It was like you had a side job as a lawn manicurist and you do landscaping. I think there is.
I could see that being cool. Yeah. Satisfying.
If there's a lawn mowing simulator game, I would hire somebody else to play it, just like I would hire somebody else to mow my lawn. Just saying. I would be like, I'd be like, Cadiz, can you come back and do a let's play of this or something? Can you play this and tell me if it was good or not? Because I'm not mowing a lawn again. It's just a weird little side take. But what else do we have? It was a weirdly quiet week, even though like we had the layoffs and stuff. I mean, like in special newness, it seems like the expected has happened, and we didn't really have anything that was like massive. I guess that's just me.
I saw there were reports that Sony is working on a new version of the DualSense controller that is going to have a removable battery for November this year.
That is awesome. Because it needs to happen.
I'm down. Yes.
Yeah. We need to get away from the inborn that is, by the way, that is
Give
just
me a hot
there
swap.
to make you rebuy it. Yeah, it is an absolute. We talk about anti-consumer, and people go way too far with anti-consumer. They're like, I can't purchase it because I don't have $3. It's anti-consumer. No, it's not. But when you put something like that into a device that has a very known short life, and you continue to do it, let me put battery packs in it. And if it comes with a battery pack, great. You don't need to take it out, charge it as normal. You'll never know the difference. And then if it does die, you can replace that battery. Absolutely awesome. I love that idea. Also, it'd be great if they remove that piece of shit touch fucking pad on that device.
It's in games, man. It needs to be there now.
It's shitty in games. It is fucking shitty. Dude, how many times is the touchpad reverted back to a button? That's all it is.
It's just the two buttons
to put away your weapon or some bullshit like that. Get rid of that thing because it sucks battery. We know it does. There's been tests on if it's on, if it's off, the fucking recoil triggers and shit. Let people, or do a basic version where you remove some of that shit and then you do, but maybe you have a button thing on there because that's all that fucking thing is. And remember, every game has to have the option to turn it off because you might have that part of the device die or you might have a bad sensor. So they make sure in almost every device you can turn the touchpad off and you can use it as just one thing or alternate controls. I would love that.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate that touchpad, man.
The accuracy is so bad, too.
So bad. Yeah.
You know, because like Ghost of Tsushima has you draw stuff on it. And you can see it barely knows the vicinity of where you're.
God, Yotai at the starting. So I was fine with it, because I had done it and forgot. But then I watched the guys in stream do it, and there's like 12. Oh, sorry, it's a delivery. There was like 12 people in our stream, and they were absolutely livid. They were like, "It's not that you have to draw stuff; it's that they didn't give a fuck." If it was even close to what you were drawing. It was just that stupid, we got to make sure we have this.
It's like, your hand is in there. Yeah. It's more or less going up to down. Good.
Yeah.
Looks
I hated
good.
that shit.
Yeah.
Vapor Blood says, I've lost 3 damn PS5 controllers to stick drift.
God damn.
Hey, speaking of that, with this new controller, is it stick drift anti? Like, is it
no reports of that. It was just talking about the battery.
Can I point out that it is stunning to me that stick drift has resulted in lawsuits? We now have technology that is no more expensive, by the way, backed up by people who've manufactured it, is now no more expensive to do the non-stick drift version. But yet, suspiciously, for the most part, the companies have continued those. And I don't believe in conspiracies nearly as much as most. But at some point, it feels like a conspiracy where you're like, so that's still in there? Really? To get us to buy a new one? You know, like I don't know. Seems
Yeah, it's like big pharma, but like big sticks.
Yeah, big stick. The big stick industry, big
stick.
milk and big stick. Big stick industry might be pretty good. I mean, if I was a part of it.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Man, we do have some questions, by the way.
Holy shit. Yeah. Oh, go for it. You do that. I'm going to do this poll. I'm going to ask about stick drift, about the big stick industry. While you do that.
This one from Solar Sphincters. Do you guys have any gaming pet peeves? Mine is soft cover systems. I will never like them, and I will only tolerate them.
Okay, say that again. Sorry, I was typing this. Say that.
Do you have any gaming pet peeves? Mine is soft cover systems.
Oh, soft cover. Okay.
Like suggestive.
Yeah, soft cover does suck a bit.
Yeah.
Admittedly, that's actually a pretty good pet peeve because it's only been done right by a very few, very specific. And
the game's trying to guess, like, do you want to take cover here? You're like
finger in the fucking door frame, and then you stick your head out, and then you go back in. You stick your ass out, and you go back in. You're like, dude, just let me press a fucking button. Soft cover, and then or you get like an item, and in a hardcover system, if there's even a gap, you know the hardcover system will stick you to that spot and you'll be safe. But with a fucking soft stick system or a soft cover system, there is absolutely no guarantee whatsoever that you're going to be able to stick there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with the hardcover where at least I'm stating clearly.
Yeah,
my intention.
Yeah, I absolutely despise a bad soft cover system, and there's very few games with soft cover that work great or well. I think. Woodpit says Gears of War felt the cover was pulling you into it. It didn't feel like it. It was. Gears of War actually pulls you into cover. You will watch the animation where you slide like you're on on rollerblades, and I loved it because at least I knew it was going to be a place of cover. But yeah, they definitely did. What else you got?
But you didn't answer. Do you have any gaming pet peeves?
Oh, yeah, and I want to say abbreviated review says the better sticks cost like pennies more. Exactly. I think it's 1.2 pennies fucking more, dude.
That's the weird part, right?
It's
yeah, it is. Without putting the tinfoil on, but like...
A conspiracy, the definition is that it requires people, but really a conspiracy can still be a conspiracy if multiple factors align to basically press down one thing. And often, and so when you look at that, you're like
circumstances are conspiring.
Yeah, as George Carlin had stated pretty eloquently, he was on a talk show years ago because he's dead. But he was on a talk show years ago, and he was pointing that out very clearly that like a conspiracy does not require technically people; it requires like for like interests,
and like evil laughters or like mustaches and stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't require that. And in fact, the quicker or more quickly you ignore that. And you remove that from your brain, the easier it'll be, because then the real conspiracies, you'll start going, that seems odd. Let's see. So do I have a...
Gaming pet peeve.
Oh, yeah. Okay, maybe. Is a gaming pet peeve the fact that you can press in a thumbstick button, which is the worst input device known to man?
Oh.
Because that is, fuck them. Fuck anybody who has it ruins the stick. It makes it much more liable to fail. And it is a shit input. It is a shit input.
It's inconsistent.
Device. It's
like how many times you like walk forward instead.
Screw it. Fuck them. Like that to me.
I'm done, dude.
And then you'll get these jackaninnies who are like, hey, I got an idea. Let's have you stick in a button for like a context sensitive move. Or Ghost of Yotai adds it to the chopping of
in
bamboo.
the beginning when they wanted you to feel left-handed.
And you're like, dude, I don't think so. Like that's not going to work. They're dick for entry, man. Just wet, soaked bag of dick. I hate them.
Yeah,
they should be removed. I hate that. Sprint with stick, so annoying. Exactly. Sprint with stick, dude.
Sucks.
The idea that you're like barely moving forward, but then you press the stick to sprint versus walk. I will say the other thing is when some jackass makes a game. By the way, I really am pretending like I'm mad about this towards the developers. I'm not. This is just a mistake. But I don't like it when you have a walk speed that is 1/10 to 1/100th of your joystick and then sprint instantly. It pisses me off that a lot of game companies, especially if you don't have the ability to adjust it, it sucks. But where, let's say your thumbstick moves this far, and from here to there is walk.
Oh,
From here
yeah.
to here is walk faster. Everything else is sprint. And you're like,
Boom.
come on, dude. I
Nope.
watched with
Fuck
Yotai,
it, we're running.
or not Yotai, sorry, Star Wars Outlaws. When somebody was streaming it in our chat today, and you watched them fighting that fucking walk, because they wanted to walk through Star Wars. They were like, hey, it's a game, I want to walk through this. And it was like walk, run, walk super fast, run. It's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like that kind of shit just sucks. And again, I'm totally teasing. It's not like somebody did it on purpose. That's a pet peeve. What about you?
I think there's one big thing for me, which is lock on in general for a lot of these like action games or like stamina games, Souls games where you have the lock on.
Right.
It, for some reason, they haven't figured out a good lock on, even though it's common sense. Like, for example, if you have a big enemy, right, that's very tall, the lock on happens in a way where your camera is completely screwed up. So instead of like locking onto maybe center mass or something, it's kind of like locking you in a horrible way where the hitbox is now off. So a lot of your attacks won't hit because you're not looking where you should be looking. And this can happen with really tall enemies. There's a lot of times as well where you will press the lock on, but instead of locking on, it will recenter the camera.
Yeah.
So there's this dual thing where if no enemy is close enough to lock on, or the game fails
you mean it's a double entry button?
So yeah, a lot of Souls games
resets. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't.
A lot of Souls games have this, right? Where if it doesn't find the target, and sometimes it's a bug, like the target is clearly in range to lock on, but it doesn't, and it resets your camera completely. So now you've lost track of your target that's about to hit you. There's a lot of stuff like that around lock-on that doesn't work well. It screws with your camera, and just in general, I don't think any game has had like a great one.
I think I would say I have had games that have great ones. I don't remember them. But there's been games where I'm like, I have no issue with this lock-on, but I would also say that I definitely know what you mean. And like, I definitely ran into the skipped lock-on where you're like, I'm right in front of the guy. And some games I don't like lock-on, and then some games I really like it. It just depends on, for example, like Ghost, when it had all the, sorry, not Ghost, the original, when it had all the issues with like the tents and the camera, fighting the camera, that was ridiculous. I hated that. And so the idea of like trying to fight the camera when you're locking on to enemies or not locking on, that can be rough when you're fighting the camera. And I don't know why I do know why, because it's difficult. It's not always perfect, but I love when a game does transparencies. So like if you do swing and there's a tent, they do a transparency and you can see through it, but that's cheating. It's another form of cheating where you can see like in an area. But it's weirdly enough also not cheating, because if you're playing a third-person game and you're inside of a tent and you can't see inside, if you're inside the tent, you would be able to see who's in there. So it's not really cheating that the transparency goes on. But I've heard
and it's also not your fault that like
that's what I mean. Yeah. I also saw Kel said bumpers for basic actions irritate the hell out of me. Listen, bumpers suck balls right now. The PlayStation's pretty good. I think the PlayStation bumper buttons feel like the Xbox bumper buttons are fucking trash, and I like that controller a lot. Those bumpers, they suck balls. They're horrid. And so whenever I play a game and they're like, yeah, we're going to switch our movements to these arcane ass buttons when all you've learned all your life is A, B, X, and Y. Instead of that, we're going to go to trigger and bumper. And you're like, fuck you. Especially when they run on A, they'll have like sprint on A. And you're like, why can't I do sprint on trigger? Why have it so where you have to, because for the most part, I think most people don't hold, I could be wrong on this, but I'll just point out that for the most part, if you're using a PlayStation, I do this and not this. So if I want to do the bumper, I have to move my hands a little bit more And I think that for actions, I don't have to really move my thumb at all, and I don't have to adjust the I just like the face buttons being my actions for the most part. But then you have games that have analog input, and the buttons, though analog, aren't great. So I get that. I
think sometimes they assume that people will have their hands like this.
No.
Where you have one finger on the back.
There's only like what 23 serial murderers in the world at any one time. That's
this is psycho.
That's psycho. If you're playing like a fucking crab, that person, I don't. No. Yeah. Because, dude, I fire. In airsoft, I fire with my finger here because there's a particular thing in airsoft where it makes more sense, and you don't need to do it because there's no recoil. But on a game controller, if you're playing like this, you for sure kill people. There's no way somebody plays like this because it also moves your thumb farther away from the face buttons.
Your whole stability in the grip.
Dude, that's like ridiculous. Yeah. Does anybody play like that in chat? Does any? Yeah. Because I want to report you to the FBI. Because there's nobody who fucking plays. I don't even know how you would. Dude, I'm trying to hold it like that. It doesn't even feel. And by the way, this little divot here is for that finger. So it doesn't make sense that their expectation is you're playing. You might as well fucking play it like you might as well just go.
Yeah.
I mean, I have done that. Yeah. For games that require quick buttons, I have done this.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. Or like the weird claw grip when you're like holding down a button. And
I've had one of my friends plays with his fingers. I don't even know how he does it, but he's got this trigger, middle is bumper, and then he grips like a small peepee. He grips the thumbstick. Yeah. And he plays like that. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, how the fuck? Yeah, excuse me, don't jack off in my house. Because, like, dude, who's doing that? It's like, might as well get an N64 and have your best friend come over and fucking help you. Nobody plays like, again, somebody in chat's going to be like, I play like that perfectly. I get it, because we're all different, and you are a killer. But, like, here's the PlayStation, this is a rip-off PlayStation controller that I really liked, the divots. But guess what these divots are? For your fucking middle and ring finger. Indicating that you don't play like this. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely not. But what do you think of the midway R2 press? So the PlayStation 1 now has this thing where if you full press, it's one action, but if you half press the R2, that's like a different thing. So remember Returnal, where you had a different shot if you did full press versus... And that never really clicked with me. Did you find that to be a good, like...
You know how gamers
way to
want to be movie? You know, we were joking about games want to be like movies.
Yeah.
I think the triggers want to be like shooting triggers. And technically, if you want to do what you're saying, have a longer throw on the trigger. A long throw. Very long throw. I would actually not have an issue with that if the throw was longer. But the throw on this one, I don't know if it's the same as yours. Sorry, the green screen. But like the throw on that, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
But it's not a lot. Exactly. And so like if I'm in the middle of battle doing this versus that.
In the heat of the moment, that's going to, it's going to come out differently.
I just want to point out, I don't know what controller this is because I can't read anything right now without my contacts in. But I will say, this is a fucking wicked ass. This is a comfy. This is the problem.
It's a good one.
Me. I had shit laying around. I don't even know where this came from, and I don't remember buying it. But
have you ever tried those Scuff ones?
I own a Scuff.
Yeah. Scuff.
Overpriced.
You like those?
No, not for their price. Their price, you should get 2 to 3 Scuffs.
It's kind of like Elite.
Yeah,
range,
overpriced.
Right, for price.
Yeah. I love the idea of custom controllers. I love the idea of shells. I don't like the idea of like a special Spider-Man controller that they charge you $180 for or whatever. That's a ripoff, or $110
because it has like a little web.
Dude, I can
decal.
I can questionable statement incoming. I can put a web on any controller I want. I think when it comes down to it, though, like the design of the controllers, I love that people are doing different stuff. But I don't think a Scuff is worth it. I think a Scuff is a ripoff, a good deal of a ripoff, meaning you can tell the moment you get it. It's not that you'll have buyer's remorse, but you get it and you're like, oh, yeah, right. This is just a controller, and I just paid a car payment for this thing. Also, got to shout out one of my favorite controller brands of all time. I'm gonna say it. If you don't like it, it's fine. I hate you. I'm just joking. But I still think Power A makes some of the best cheap controllers known to man. Power A, I don't know how they do it. They have $18 to $19 to $23 controllers. Most are wired at that price versus unwired. But I got to tell you, the goddamn Power A controllers that I have, 3 of them, I play the most, never die. Still working day one. 4 Xbox controllers, 5 PlayStation 5 controllers. Now, some of those have been battery, some of those have been other things. It's not like they just magically don't work. But with Power A, I don't know who makes them. I think we can guess who probably makes Power A controllers for their cost. I would assume there's only 2 or 3 nations in the world that can get that much slave labor making their controllers. But Power A is awesome. I think I got Jay to buy a Power A. I know Obi-Moss bought a Power A. I think Amutski's got like 3 or 4 Power A's. They last, for us, they've lasted a great deal of time. They feel identical, and they're super cheap. Super cheap. So, there you go.
I'll take a look.
Smart button mapping could be considered a legit art. Yeah, that's a good point, right? Yeah, smart button mapping. It'd just be like, dude, maybe I'll rate that next time. I'll be like, my rating, we're going to get to rating in a second after Fun Factor, but let me also rate the button mapping in this game. Usually what I'll do is say you can or can't, but like I won't break it into that, but I could do a little bit more. Solar says he has a corded Power A. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, my Power A's, I've got them in every room. I've got this one here before I break it. This one here, it is wired on this one. It was $19. Fucking pretty sweet ass color because it's easy for me to realize what controller far away. I can be like, that's the Power A versus like 6 black ones.
It's got a Pikachu on it. It's the...
Yeah, dude. Yeah, technically. But they're fucking great, man. And they also accept all of... And this one's got back buttons for $19. Just sweet.
Look at that.
I like the back buttons. I will admit, I think if you removed the piece of shit, non-usable, and completely no reason should have been made touch panel on the PlayStation, and you remove thumb in, and you put buttons here where your fingers happen to sit, scientifically happen to be there, then I think we would all be better off. I think I like just having a button back there, even if it's a map or, dude, stealth with a button in on the thumbstick, screw that, it's terrible. Like, I'm going to stealth, press in on the thumbstick. But if you have a back button, you're just like, boop, and you can do it while you're playing. You don't have to like...
Absolutely.
Like, I want to
I've actually replaced, instead of clicking the joysticks, I use the back
absolutely.
button.
Yeah.
For those, it's great.
I'm 6'4" and have large hands. Get cramped up trying to hold that thing. Oh, yeah, the... Some controllers are pretty small. Depends. I don't know which one he's talking about. Probably PlayStation, maybe? I don't know. PlayStation doesn't feel super small.
Yeah, you must have some big-ass hands.
No. I bet you he's talking about the PlayStation controller. Because my hands aren't even super huge, and it's already a little bit like...
Feels small?
Well, you start doing this on fingers, and that hurts after.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I'm not saying it's as bad as, like, people, working for $1 in India. I'm just saying...
Yeah.
It's painful.
Yeah, because you still need to pull your fingers out enough so that the tips are just making contact. That sounds completely wrong.
Make sure that tip makes contact. Yeah, just like I said, when your finger in the door frame in a soft cover, you got to make sure the finger makes contact. What else do we got for questions?
This one from Patman. Out of all the Vault Hunters in the Borderlands games, what's your favorite? Mine's got to be Krieg from Borderlands 2. That was the psycho guy, I think.
Damn, I don't even know the names of them. I don't think I know the names of any of them. Vault Hunters? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's talking about the playable ones, right?
Oh, just talking about... No, Vault Hunter? You're not a Vault Hunter,
I'm assuming
you're a Vault Dweller. You're from the
you're a Vault Hunter.
Oh, we had this discussion. At some other point, we had this discussion where I was confused why we were called a Vault Hunter.
Yeah.
I think we had this discussion. It feels, but no, I don't remember.
I think so.
Honestly, honest truth. I don't, they're all me. Does that make sense? I mean, if you're playing them, they're all me. So I guess I don't have a favorite unless you're real egotistical.
I like Zero, the guy with the mask that did like invisible and big melee damage, and I think he didn't talk at all. He was like completely silent.
Well, then that's
if I
not
remember
you.
correctly.
What do you mean? What's that from? I don't understand. I think I am still confused. Are we talking about the main character?
Like playable characters, where you usually have 4 to choose from in every game. Like the classes, basically.
Huh. Man, why am I drawing a blank on that? I don't even know.
But maybe no one stuck out to you too much. Like the Siren, where you could hold people in a bubble.
What game are we talking
about? A lot of people
about?
like that one. Borderlands.
Bro, do you know what I heard?
Oh, what?
Take a guess. Fallout.
Holy shit.
I've been confused because you said Vault.
Okay.
I have been confused the entire time. Going, what is he fucking talking about? They're all me. Okay.
It's just you. Yeah, okay.
It's just me.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah, and my brain was on Fallout as well, so I don't know why. Okay, gotcha. Oh, because we had talked about the ghoul. I really did think we were just talking in a continuation of Fallout for some reason. I was like, I don't understand what this guy's fucking talking about.
Okay, I got you now.
Okay, Borderlands. Yeah, I don't have a favorite of Borderlands for sure, but now we're at least on the same discussion. Dude, I forgot. Yeah, because by the way, do you now understand why I was so confused about Vault Hunter?
Yeah, it's like, hold on.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Isn't that Vault Dweller? Anyway, what else we got?
Let's see. This one from Sully. He says, what are some of your favorite map boundary guardians? Mine are ATV, Off-Road, Fury's Mega Bounce, and Subnautica's Leviathan.
Dude, that's
a
do
good
you know what he's talking about? Let me explain.
Not the first one. No,
greatest
what was
things
that?
of all time. So listen, there was like Motocross Madness and some of these racing games, and a lot of racing games repeat this. So if you get into an area in one of these older games and you drive to the boundary of the racing area, it does what's called a mega bounce. It ejects you as if you've been launched from a cannon back into the center of the map, and it is one of the craziest, awesomest moments. So you'll be like driving and you'll be close, and if you hit it, it'll go like boom, and like an explosion goes off, and your character will just flip around and they'll be thrown back into the center of this massive map, and it's friggin' awesome. It's awesome.
That's gonna be the best boundary
it is awesome.
thing.
Like when he mentioned it, I was like, oh shit, somebody else knows. Yeah, the mega bounce. That is a great, but like boundary, I mean, honestly, that might be it, because like, what are the other ones, like Radiation in a post?
The one he said, Subnautica, it was cool because if you remember, what happened is you got to a place that was just pitch black, and your pod or whatever told you like, hey, make them sure whatever it is you're doing here is worth it, because like
here there be dragons.
Yes. And then, like, if you keep going, this massive Leviathan ghost thing shows up, and that's when you nope out and you instinctively run back to safety. So it was a good way to naturally keep you out of
it's not boundary. A boundary, but can I tell you the one that I like, but I hate that you can't do it? You can't swim in Dragon's Dogma, but you get the tentacles from the creatures that live in the water.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll grab you, and I always thought that was sort of creepy.
Yeah, that's
like
good.
Sometimes, especially in like if you're fighting on a cliff and you end up bouncing off into the beach or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. What was that called? That was called not the Void.
Oh.
There's a name for that. I can't remember. But yeah, that one was awesome.
Damn. Yeah.
Leo Skunt says, my MX Unleashed was the best for that. The music would stop and you would hear a rumble, then boom. Yeah, dude. Mega bounce. Man, that's crazy. What else we got?
We got, I think, one more. Let me check. Yeah. Last one from Bowser. What was your favorite film as a kid? Family movie night for us and our 5-year-old girls. And we're watching Casper from '95. Good one. I remember watching films like Mighty Ducks, Three Ninjas, and Karate Kid over and over.
Karate Kid? Yeah.
Karate Kid is a classic. What was it? Wax in, wax out.
Yeah, wax on, wax off.
Oh, on and off.
Yeah, that was great.
I watched it in
the brine in fucking Dragon's Dogma. The brine.
The brine.
Yeah, the brine, the salty brine.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Thank you. Because my brain was like, you're not.
How did people drink water though? Because they would be drinking the tentacles
ways
too.
To distill and remove salt. You can leave it out literally and scrape the salt off. Yeah.
So the tentacles are like coming from the salt.
The game? I thought you legitimate.
Yeah, I'm just imagining the world like, dude.
Yeah.
How do we?
Those are some dehydrated,
how do we
cramping up. No wonder. What if you find out in the game that the goblins and shit aren't brine at all? They're just people who've been there a long fucking time. They're all dehydrated, haven't drank, and they're just cranky, so they all attack you. Could be what's going on. What's a favorite childhood movie? I've said mine 1,000 times. Mine's Legend, for sure.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
No, I thought maybe like Conan the Barbarian.
It was okay, but Legend, and then maybe close second would be Highlander or Willow. But Legend was the one I told
Highlander's
you was
so
that
good.
My dad would come home and you would hear him bitching that I was watching it again.
Yeah.
Because he would want to watch something else. Yeah. What about?
I mean, Highlander. I could watch it today, man. It's stood the test of time pretty well. Yeah.
The only one.
Yeah.
Fucking loved everything about Highlander. Yeah. Dude, it was awesome. Sean Connery shows up on a horse with his fucking buttons down to his navel, so big old chest hair. Yeah. Goddamn.
What a gallant motherfucker.
Yeah, I love that guy. And his red is like pompadour. He's got like he's wearing his red tunic and shit like that. And you're like, dude, none of this makes sense. It was so good. Highlander was so good. What about? Oh, Monster Squad's a fucking good one, man. Well, they kicked Wolfman. Wolfman's got nards. They kicked Wolfman in the balls, and it actually hurts him. And they're like, the entire thing was Wolfman's got nards. What about you?
As a kid, probably Star Wars: New Hope. I watched that as a kid with my dad. He introduced me to that.
Yeah.
Other stuff like Predator, I also watched really young, and was super impactful. And again, I could watch some of those movies today, man. I rewatched Predator 1 not too long ago.
Me too. Yeah.
Had a blast.
I watched Predator 1, Predator 2, Predators, Men at Work. That's another one. Did you ever see Men at Work? Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen as two garbage men.
Oh, no. And, no, that sounded wrong first.
They start getting chased by some guys because I think they find a dead body in a trash can.
That's oddly similar to that other Charlie Sheen show, the 2 Men and a Half or something. No, two
and a half men.
2.5 Men.
I don't know, but 2 Men and a Half is awesome as a name, and I feel that they missed out on a horrendous amount of comedy by what that could mean. Eternal says, Legend made me think I was dreaming when it came on TV. Yeah, Legend was filmed in a way that was very gossamer and very spiritual and ethereal.
Never-ending story. Yeah. As a kid, that was great. Yeah.
It was Atreyu. What was his horse's name? The horse that dies in the swamp because he gives up and dies, and he's crying in the swamp. Atreyu and Artemis? Was it Artemis? No, it wasn't Artemis. I don't think it was.
I don't remember.
But Atreyu is the main character, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, dude, Never Ending Story was good, but it's too sad for me. The nothing was sad, and the little rock guy, well, not little, but the rock giant on his tricycling around. Dude, that was back when movies did high fantasy that didn't have to be horror. Every movie now, they have to have a Del Guillermo or whatever the fuck his name is with multiple eyes. They always have to do the terror, the scary, the creepy. Back then, it was still in the romantic days of fantasy, and you would just have this. Artax, thank you very much. Yeah.
Artax. I felt even just the big white thing that he rode.
Dude, the dragon
was really creepy.
Yeah.
The dragon.
That thing was creepy. Awesome, man. And it would and he'd be like, when he would tell it to go faster and it was flying, and you as a kid were like, I want to be able to fly on a fucking back of a dragon. Then that thing's screaming. I'm like, maybe not. Falcor, the dog dragon. Yeah, thank you very much. Falcor is just an Asian lung, or very close to it. The Asian version of a dragon, technically. That thing, the serpent style body, more serpent style body, but I love that guy. And they did a good job on another one. Fucking A, Labyrinth, man. Jennifer Connelly probably put me through puberty 6 times the first time I watched it. Jennifer Connelly shows up. Yeah. Bowie and his giant package when they gave him a piece to wear.
Also creepy.
That was creepy. Like, I don't want to go there. There's a couple scenes in that where I'm like, man, even as a kid, I was like, why is that old guy's nuts so close to her face? Like, because there's a couple.
I was completely innocent in that way. Completely.
Here's how uninnocent I was. The first time I watched Legend, you have Tim Curry as Darkness. He's your demon, your devil who runs the world, right? Lives under a tree. Scary ass piece of shit. One of the scariest characters I've ever seen. And it's still scary to this day because of him and because of the makeup. And he basically entrances Mia Sara, the chick from the old movies she was in, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and stuff. So he entrances her, and they're dancing, and he's trying to romance her, right? All I could think about is this 8-foot demon and how sex was going to work. And I don't know how young I was at that time, but I think kids are a little smarter. I know you say you're innocent, but I remember even watching that going,
you were thinking logistics, like
yeah, I was like, and his horns stick out this far because they're front horns. They're like the demon in Injustice, the DC, the guy who spits blood. He's a Red Lantern. But anyway, yeah, he's got the weird horns, and I was always like, dude, how are they gonna bang? I mean, Doggy Style works, whatever. Secret of Nim, yeah, that was good. Watership Down was terrifying. Yeah, I agree with that. Some of these, when you were a kid, man, you watch them and you'd be like, dude, all dogs go to heaven. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. I don't want to watch that. Like, somebody was telling me that Up was sad, and I'm like, fuck, yeah, a little bit. But, I mean, it's still a person or a fake person in a cartoon. Yes, it's sad.
Yeah, there's something about animals.
But there's something about animals, dude. Yeah, they're like, all dogs go to heaven. You can't tell me you didn't figure out what was going on in that movie. The fucking name is All Dogs Go to Heaven. You're like, dude, it could have just been called All Dogs Go to a Farm You Can Never Visit and Are Still Playing it. You know what that fucking movie's going to be about. Lady and the Tramp was also, or sorry, not Lady and the Tramp, 101 Dalmatians. She skinned the puppies to wear them. Like, that's some dark shit,
that's
man.
pretty dark. Yeah, it's pretty dark.
That's pretty dark. Or at least she wanted to. I think she had before, which is how Corilla had the cloak already.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and driving around in that old-ass, haunted, poltergeist-looking vehicle of hers, and you're just like, that bitch needs to die. Man. Yeah, the old cartoons are scary as shit. Like, there was some, people think anime has some creepy stuff. There's some really cool, creepy animation stuff, but there was something about the fake not creepy that's creepier to me. When you do a cartoon back in the 90s or 80s, and you were like, oh, it's just a cartoon, but then you watch it and you're like, dude, that's fucking scary as shit, man. There's some weird stuff going on in this cartoon.
Yeah.
Secret of Nim was also, it was sort of sad. Woodpit 420 says Predator. I don't even remember the beginning where he's meeting Dylan, probably because on TV you never catch the beginning. Yeah, dude, I loved it when they're like, shh, Dylan, they got you pushing too many pencils. And I was like, dude, that's fucking stupid. Great. And they're both jacked. Carl Weathers is like a meat sack in that. I don't know. It must have been during the Rocky times, but that dude was jacked. And they're like holding hands, but pretending to wrestle. And it gets uncomfortable because it's like a lot. And you're all, dude, you can let go of each other. Yeah, dude, they were massive, man. That shit. Oh, and the music in Predator, that doom, 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 when they start like going down to do their fucking attack. Yeah. You're like, dude, this is such a good movie. This is exactly what it's like being in the Special Forces.
100%.
This is for sure exactly what it's like, where he picks up a car and fucking that's for whatever reason, the car's engine is running to pump water out of a well, when in real life you can just tip a bucket over in the movie. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, it didn't need to make sense, but it was all done simply so he could show how strong he was and then let go of the car and move it. And you're like, dude, come on, man. Why does it was so, and then he shot
that was not necessary.
None of it was necessary. He throws that knife and stick around. And you're like, dude, so dumb. Absolutely wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we move to kid shows, G.I. Joe was my favorite. Yeah, G.I. Joe was awesome. Serpentor was awesome, too. Carl Weathers was a real athlete. He played for the Raiders. Yep, he was. But I'm going to tell you right now, playing for the Raiders and having jacked-ass fucking biceps like that back then weren't necessarily overlapping as much as they are now. Like, there was some alternative chemicals. And I think a lot of it was for Rocky, because in the NFL, you're wearing a jersey and you don't need to worry about being
sorry, I lost your audio.
Shit. Am I still going? I'm still going through mine. Yeah, no worries. Thundercats was good. Yep. Ooh, you know what video games I'd like to see? I'd love to see a Thundercats video game. What new anime would be cool for a video game? There's a lot of anime that I think I'd love to see a good third-person action-adventure game that wasn't Naruto and shit like that. Mumra the Ever-Living. Yeah, he was like, Mumra the Ever-Living. And he would like fucking power up. Can you hear me, Johnny? Johnny can't hear me. He's still trying to figure me out. Johnny just left. Whoa, it's my face, and it's huge. Abbreviated says the first like 20 or 30 Arnold movies have a scene where it's just him flexing. Yeah. Commando does too, because Commandos, listen to this. This is how big they were into Arnold's body. In Commandos, he puts on a grenade onto his jacket, and he's like outfitting himself. And I swear to God, there's a part where he like puts it on and holds his arm there for a second so he can be like, dude. I would still give anything to be with Jennifer Connelly. Yeah. Yeah, so would I. Yeah, Jennifer Connelly's pretty. Let me see where Johnny went. Let me see if he comes back in. Let me see if I can pop him back in. Give me 1 second. Let me bring him in here. Nope, that's not him. He's down for the count. Johnny might be down for the count. Let me pop my video back up. We'll wait for Johnny to come back. I don't think I need to call him again. I don't know what happened. We're having issues with the internet, or he is. He was having issues all day. Anyway, I loved Thundercats as a kid, but it didn't have many seasons. Yeah. Sword Art Online. Oh, Goblin Slayer. Yeah, those are good ones. Those would be good. Let me see now if he's back on. Give me 1 second. Just see if I can invite. Let me try to call him. I'm going to ask him if he's back. Woodpit says, Commando, the weapons montage was so keynote. Yeah, it was cool. It was great. Oh, there he goes. He's back in. What's up?
Hello. Okay, yeah. My audio interface restarted.
People are talking about anime. They were saying Silverhawk, Goblin Slayer, Sword Art Online. Eternal says, been having a blast with Battlefield 6 despite the small wait. Excellent. Hopefully that continues so people can jump in there. Super excited to see that many or two big shooters coming out at the same time. Space Heroes that used magical musical instruments. That sounds dirty as shit. We also need a epic 2018 Mass Effect style OG Gundam game. Dude, that's a lot of things mixed together.
Have you ever done a Gundam model?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I did the ancient ass Macross. I called it Robotech because I was in America, and that's the first one I saw was Robotech, which is Macross recut. But Robotech had a special robot that didn't transform, admittedly. I'm weird like that. It didn't have a robot that transformed. They were called Destroids. And what these things were was they were like more like your artillery or your support systems. But there was a robot. It's my favorite robot of all time. It always will be. It's called the Mach 2 and Mach 3. And these things are basically 4 Navy destroyer cannons on the back of a Ed 209 from Robotech, except massive, 60, 80 feet, whatever a Destroid size were. And I fucking loved them. And basically, if you've played Mech Warrior or Battletech, either one of those two games, a lot of the Destroids were like that. So, yeah, it was awesome. Johnny needs to turn his gain down. Johnny hasn't said a word in like the last 35 seconds. That would be me.
Yeah, I haven't changed anything on my side. I just restarted. So
I'll turn him down a little bit. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, I would say what other anime that's current would be good?
Yeah, Cyberpunk Edge Runners was quite good.
What do you think about an Edge Runners video game?
Yeah.
I think that would be
I think
cool.
it could work. Yeah. I think just more Cyberpunk games in general.
Agreed.
Funny enough, we've seen quite a lot of indies, but not as many like AA, AAA stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like that's still a space that hasn't been really celebrated. Needs more. What else we got? You got another question?
No. That's it for questions today.
Let's see. Let me look here. A lot of these are repeats for questions that I think I've got to.
Okay.
Carrick, if you had to choose Battlefield 6 or Call of Duty and never the other one. Yeah, Call of Duty. I think Battlefield is hit or miss more than Call of Duty, which Call of Duty may not attain new heights. But overall, Call of Duty, I've had a good time, and it's generically just sort of worked. Battlefield has generically not worked. Battlefield is one of the longest running series with a trash game pretty often. or a game that is not good pretty often. Also, I feel like Battlefield games have technical issues at a magnificently high amount compared to Call of Duty, if I had to choose. And it just feels to me that it's too much. It's like all the time. I never know what I'm getting from them. And maybe it's because they're trying to be more complicated, which I think that's fair. But overall, especially when it comes to just like what I've enjoyed, it's a weird choice. But yeah, I would say Call of Duty, just because even in general, if some of the stuff isn't as eclectic as Battlefield, I've just had nothing but issues with Battlefield games. And the last Battlefield game was terrible. There's been a lot of Battlefield games that honestly were not good or memorable. It feels like way more than Call of Duty. With Call of Duty also, I can guarantee that I will usually have a good campaign, and I cannot, under any circumstances, guarantee I'll have a good campaign in Battlefield. So if we're talking about the games as a whole.
Yeah, you know what you're getting with Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, yep. So yeah, I would say easily Call of Duty. The other question is RTS versus turn-based. Which one? So you only
general?
No, if you only had one for the rest of your life, and if like one of those genres removed from you, I would say honestly turn-based.
Yeah, I think so.
I think RTS has a tendency to be very fun, but there are times where I want to dive in more, and it's almost impossible to even look at a character because you're so busy zerging or preparing against somebody who's going to come at you. So the idea of like being able to look at the weapons and the items and the pluses, plus builds are big. Most turn-based games are about builds, and RTS isn't. It's got builds, but it's done in such a quick way usually. So, as Lizzie says, gotcha games. Yeah,
and I found that the more RTS games turn to single units being meaningful as opposed to the Zerg,
right?
You know, that's where I enjoyed it more. So Warcraft did this, right? And then actually Dota came from that too, right? The idea that you have your main hero you control. So that's what I've gravitated towards anyway.
Yeah.
And that's no longer RTS because really it's more like micro on, fewer units.
Yeah, for sure. What else do we got to discuss? We got any science, any cool books, music? Anybody in chat listening to anything cool? Throw your music suggestions in there.
I've been reading the third Harry Potter book. So I've been going through the series slowly.
Harry Potter.
And then I read the book. Yeah, Harry Potter. I read the book, and then I watch the movie as well. Kind of like a re-appreciation thing. Because I watched them when I was pretty young.
Yeah.
So that's been cool. And I was thinking about the magic system in Harry Potter. It's quite odd to me. Because I don't have a grasp on what people can do.
Yeah, there is no grasp.
Even 3 books in.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see, what's your take? Because you've read a bunch of stuff. Not only fiction, but D&D, which ties a bit into the magic systems, right? So for you, this type of magic system, do you like it when it's this soft, where we just don't know what people are capable of? Is there a middle ground where maybe we can have a bit more data on it, or does it have to be either hard magic or soft magic?
Dude, yeah, this has been something that's gone on for years, and then you have psionics versus magic, that's come up for years because they both can appear to be magic.
Yep.
Honestly, I do like hedge wizard magic, which would be like alchemy or herbs or small incantations. And then your bigger stuff is your fireballs. And then you have rituals, which are like 12 people get together, do some summon a demon, right? But I feel like I can structure rules around that pretty well. I can be like, okay, the herbalist needs to mix this amount and this amount. He's making a recipe, right? That makes sense. And a recipe is something that powers you for a little bit of time. So it's your low power thing. And that makes sense. And then you have the people who are just powerful, who have like an inborn magic, need to cast spells with words. They spend their own spirit to cast a spell. It's pretty easy for me to understand. And it also makes sense that people with higher willpower or higher spirit, like force and ego are your more powerful people. There's no cap on that, though, and that's why you get Kryn with like Raceland or Fistalitis, who are two magic users that were so powerful because, in particular, Raceland had a horrible... He was just internally, he was super powerful, and you find out later that a magic user from centuries prior had snuck into his body and basically given him a little bit of extra spirit, so he was able to be powerful, more powerful than others. I like that. And then you get your really powerful rituals, which take a ton of time, but it's also a recipe. I like rules. I don't need them to be super drawn out. I would say, like I'm seeing people say Sanderson. I think they're terrible. I think his magic is horrid.
You didn't like his
they're
hard
horrid.
magic stuff.
But they're horrid from my standpoint of like having played D&D and having like my experience
too rigid,
with magic.
maybe, or what? Like,
and boring.
If you could put it in a...
They're just not dynamic enough for me, and their requirements are cool for people who are video gamers, but they're not as cool for people who, like, let's say, role-played prior to video games. I think the one thing that this pops up, ignore Sanderson for a second, because we're just always going to disagree, and it's not a negative thing. I'm teasing. I don't think they're horrible. Well, I sort of do, but you know what I mean. But you look at Final Fantasy.
Okay, yeah.
If you look at role-playing, I know a lot of people who love Final Fantasy, and it took me ages to like it. And the reason why is because I had come off of D&D, which had a ton of freedom. So when you go into a video game, mana equals spell, go by spell. It's all very ritualistic. And I had come from these free-form games where even though there were still those requirements, you were role-playing out, and you could do all this crazy shit, and you could, like, think things through, and you were working with a DM. So it took me a long time to get into Magic or get into role-playing games on video game format. And I think the same thing happens with Sanderson stuff, where it feels too closed off from what I've experienced in the past because it's role-playing versus a novel. Now, if I played a RPG based on his magic systems, could possibly be totally fine. But it's in the books that it bothers me. Sort of like what you just described, the books or the movies bother you with Harry Potter versus a role-playing game. So if you told me that there's a role-playing game of Harry Potter, there's a high chance they would outfit their rules in a way to where you could parse them a little bit easier. And what I do in a lot of books, whether it be Sanderson, by the way, I'm saying the same thing about the books I like. There's a book, one of my favorite books of all time is the Waylander series, and their magic is more native, like Native American or spiritualistic, the Fae from, like, your Old English. You've got some of the stuff that it's sort of a conglomeration of different spiritual stuff from, like, native ancestors, spirit of the world, Gaia. It just doesn't work. It's not, and I love the book, but I would tell you straight up, as my favorite author in the world, one of the best writers I've ever experienced, I don't think his magic's good at all. It doesn't even come across as something you can parse, and they don't say you can't. So if a game world says you can't parse it, therefore it's dangerous, I'm sort of okay with it. I think with Harry Potter, I was sort of okay with it, even though, because I was like, well, you can't tell what anybody can do, and a kid could just curse somebody, and they all know the word that they're not supposed to use. You know what I mean? It's almost like everybody has guns at the age of 7. And you're just like, well, what is that? What could that possibly mean? Well, it could mean some dangerous times. But it doesn't always feel like the funnest fiction. And I don't know, I stopped reading Sanderson after I think I got like 7 or 8 of his books. David Gemmell, read all of his. The Kryn's, the Dragonlance series is like, I don't know, 300 books or some crazy amount. I definitely like magic, but in novels, it's notoriously difficult. For example, the Dragonlance books have a very ritualistic way to get magic and to be powerful. Basically, anybody can learn cantrips and smaller levels, but to actually become a mage and be vested, which is red for a neutral magic user, black for an evil magic user, a self-serving one, and white for a good magic user who is more giving, they have to go through a trial, and the trial can kill them. The trial is based on each person. So when you go into these trials, they kill a great number of magic users because the trial is created by the head magic users to hit your weaknesses. And it's there. So, for example, Raceland failed his because ultimately he was weak. So when in his weakness, the other magic user's spirit found him and was like, I'll give you power to live, but I control some of you. And that's what happened. So he became the most powerful magic user, but it really wasn't just him. At least at first, it was this other magic user that came in. I like those. I like trials. I definitely like risk. Like, you can become somewhat powerful, but if you want to become super powerful, you have to do this thing.
Like, there's a trade-off or there's a cost.
Yeah, I like those. I'm trying to think of what games got the best magic. I mean, dude, that's the thing, is there's been a lot of games with great magic that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but like as a playing it is fun. You know,
like
Ringlord
Hogwarts
Saga was good. Hogwarts
Did you like
was
that
good,
one
but we had played
for magic?
it, so I sort of knew what your wand sort of knew. Oh, that's the other thing. Let me ask you this. Video game comes out, book, role-playing game, whatever. How do you feel about wands and staves being the channeling conduit for magic? Because I got to tell you,
wands.
I hate it. Yeah, okay.
Oh, really?
I don't like wands or staves. I
expected you to disagree with me on that. For some reason, I thought you liked that. I just find wands a bit lame.
They're very lame.
You know, like,
and if you lose your power because you have this wand, Hogwarts did a great job saying the wand was chosen. You know, like there was a ritual,
like it chooses you or whatever.
Yeah, and it's got a little bit of unicorn horn and a tiny bit of this, and you're like, okay, maybe that makes sense for the kid and how they grow.
Like, ogre's pit. Or
right. And so, and basically, let's be honest, all that was a recipe, which is probably why I liked it. I sort of do like the recipe style stuff, which is like these certain things will create this power for you. Yeah, I don't like staves. I don't like wands. Like it just doesn't work.
No
conduit stuff. I'm not a big fan, but. Yeah, magic systems are tough in books, everything. I mean, again, I'm obviously in the minority for some I don't like, but I think we're in the majority that most aren't good. So you're
like hard to please in general.
Very hard to please in magic stuff, yeah. Because they fall apart. They're the only ones that I've liked is I saw somebody else saying that they actually liked Dragonlance as well. I think Dragonlance did a good job with a very difficult thing, which is trying to figure out a way to where everybody isn't walking around throwing fireballs. And can we also agree Lord of the Rings fucking sucks? When Gandalf's entire job is to take out somebody and he gets spun on his head by a dude doing this, you're like, I don't know.
What are we even doing, guys?
It took him 7 minutes to kill that, or he didn't even kill the Balrog. He broke some fucking bridge. Like, you're just like, dude. And what I mean by that is in the movies in particular is you don't get a good sense of power. You're like, why is this guy known for having a ton of power? And maybe he doesn't exemplify it, which is fine. But it's like it takes too long for these guys that I envision as being front lines years ago, centuries ago, being on the front lines. Do you know who handles magic insanely well? It's probably not going to be liked, but I would say probably one of the better magic systems is, of all things, the DNA system. I call it DNA system, but the system that involves the Shannara books. Because the Shannara books is based upon a line of people, the Osfords, who have a magical power, and every single time a kid is born, it adjusts because it's in their blood. So Wish Song of Shannara is about people who sing to create power. So a person will make the sound of a brook or whistle like birds to camouflage themselves in the forest. I can parse that pretty easy. And go, okay. So to cast that spell of invisibility, you're mimicking the sounds of the things around you. And by the way, there's a time where a character goes in, and I don't know how they would do this, but a character's in a city. And by making the sound of like things clattering and the sounds of a city and the echo with his voice, he makes himself invisible in the city. I'm like, okay, I can sort of parse that. And then each one has a slightly different power. And what they have to, elf stones, he can only cast spells using these stones. And I'm like, okay, I don't want it all the time because that'd be a wand, but I can deal with it. Every book has a different person with a different sort of ability. I like those.
Yeah.
Those are easier to parse, but.
Okay, I got that.
He's Gandalf's mentor. Why wouldn't he know him well enough to beat him? Oh, they're talking about, I probably shouldn't have brought up Gandalf because that's a sore point for a lot of people.
Yeah,
because there's the ability of understanding the novels, and then there's the movies, and then there's just the usability of the magic itself, where you're like, what the fuck is going on with these guys? A
lot of it too in movies is arbitrary when they use a power or they don't. Like Star Wars, like some homies are using the Force all the time,
Yep.
and then they don't for large parts.
And they don't for the very same situation that would have got them through it 2 minutes prior.
Yeah.
And you see it in superhero movies where a guy gets punched and he's hurt, and then he gets punched and he's not hurt, and you're like, what now? Like, what? Why did this throw this guy one time and then the very next time it doesn't throw him? It's power creep, right? Power creep. Zanth, somebody mentions, which are the Piers Anthony, which is where every single person has a special talent, which are hilarious because it's comedic, and there's probably 50 books, and those are hilarious because there's good ones, like a guy who can talk to animals and inanimate objects. And when you can talk to inanimate objects, he uses it for exactly what you'd think. Like what happens when mom and dad go to sleep and you find out about sex, right? So it's these goofs, it's these jokes. But the powerful kings usually have a power that is usable and less jokey. But everybody has a talent. And if you don't, you're sort of ostracized. And it can be stupid. No lie, one character in that book who's a bully, he's a dick, he's a small character, has the ability to make loud sounds, a loud burst sound. That's it. That's all he has. And then another guy can simply I think he can make things turn a different color. Very useless. And so you don't know what you'll get when you're born. You just get this talent.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's kind of
a lot of the books are about people who can't figure out their talent. They have no clue because it's not manifesting. It's there, but they haven't figured it out. And one of the books in particular is about a person who thinks he has no magic power and then finds out he's got one of the most powerful magic powers in the entire series. So Emerson, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Reading The Will of Many by James Iselton. Very innovative magic system that correlates interestingly with social economic status. Highly recommend.
Interesting.
So I'll recommend another series of books that I just realized might have one of the craziest magic systems in the world. It's called Rune Lords. So if anybody's read these are fucking nuts. So basically what happens is, let me try to describe it super fast. So basically, this magic system is based on rods, so a little bit like wands, but here's what's weird about it. You can take a person's essence and they lose it, and as long as they're alive, you gain it. So you go to Arnold Schwarzenegger and you say, I want your strength, but I will take care of your family and you if I have your strength. Until you die, I'll take care of your family. So that person moves into your land. So the kings take a ton of strength. So you might have a guy who's got 200,000 men strength. They all live in homes and they're super weak and infirm because this person has stolen their strength, right? What if they steal their intelligence? Well, now a person is a dimwit, but maybe they don't have a lot of money. So it creates an almost slavery kind of system where some people are forced into it, or you question if they are, but for the most part, these people take care of it. But then it creates a geopolitical thing that is phenomenal, which is a bad guy shows up and kills the people living in a home who can't escape because they're weak. So then the Lord instantly loses 250,000 people's worth of strength. And the cool thing about it is it doesn't offset anything else. If you steal a person's strength, you don't steal their bone power. So what they have is what's called bone breaking battles, where people are in a fight and maybe he has the ability to heal quickly and strength, but he's breaking his bones as he's punching the enemy. And the guy does a great job explaining this. But the bad guy in the story does something no one's supposed to ever do. He steals animals' powers. You're not supposed to do it because it imparts not only the cunning of a wolf, which is 10 times what a human would be, or the smell of a shark, which would be 100 times what a human would be, or the smell of a basset hound, right? But it imparts the animalistic. So they're called beast lords, and you're not supposed to do it. So the main enemy in one of the series of the first three, I think, is the guy who basically steals these animals. And he explains a situation that's just so crazy. The guy is chasing down an army and he's running so fast, he's like catching air across hills. And the guys look back and just see this evil guy who is like fucking like miles away, 7 miles away, whatever you can see. They're on a mountain, so probably farther. And they just see this shadow sprinting. And they're like, what the fuck is that? And they realize that like that's this animal lord guy who's got the strength of like 100 bear, a strength of like
shit.
Yeah, and he shows up and fucks everybody. He absolutely ruins them. But the cool thing about it is the geopolitical. I love the idea of taking care of the people you've taken that from. So beauty is another one. So you can take 100 people's beauty and they turn ugly, but you pay for them and you help them so they don't have to worry about dowries and they don't have to worry about their family. So you might get a very beautiful woman. So instead of being married to an ugly lord, one of the ladies is like, I don't want to get plowed by a fat, ugly royal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell you my beauty and you take care of my family and you take care of me and you put me up in housing and you make sure. And so you have royals who have to take care of their people. Because currently in social stuff, we don't have to take care. You know, you hear about it all the time. You know, you have homeless or whatever. In this world, they don't, because the lords have to take care of their people. Because if somebody else sneaks in and kills them, it's all gone instantly.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see that.
Dude, it's a great series
Okay,
of
that's
books.
a cool premise. That's a cool setup.
Yeah, they're
so what was the name of that?
Rune Lords. Yeah.
Rune Lords.
And I think there's 6 or something like that. But in particular, the first 2 or 3, it's a sort of a higher book level, I would say, for reading. Certainly, you know, nothing you haven't read. I'm just saying for anybody listening, it's a tiny, like they're the ones who come. I remember
like a bit hard to.
Well, you'll hear some words. Like I remember I mentioned it in a review and people are like, what the fuck? Festooned. Like meaning like covered with, like ivy can festoon a wall. People are like, what the fuck? And so he has a couple of those words. And I remember the first time reading it as a kid going, damn, I got to like sort of parse this a little bit more than usual. But the first 3 books are awesome. Yeah, somebody says Rune Lord gets a little weird. It does get a little weird, but I would still say the first 3 are magnificent for a magic system. And probably because they're so old, anybody we like now, most likely, because they were quite popular, have like piggybacked on some of that kind of stuff, whether it be soul stealing or whether, you know,
some of those ideas.
And the requirement I love. I like requirements for stuff. For example, the requirement of becoming a swordsman is time, sweat, tears, patience, and possible death. In magic stuff, a lot of times you're like, well, what's the worry? I'm going to get tired.
I think you put your finger on what I dislike about Harry Potter magic is that it seems no cost. Yeah, it seems like it's just, you know,
exactly.
Alohomora.
Look at Harry Potter. He beats Voldemort at the end, and he's not tired.
Right. And he's chilling.
He's chilling. Yeah. I mean, he's beat up, but you know what I mean. It's just like, I'm going to push harder on my fire hose of magic than you pushed on your fire hose of magic. Because that's all they're doing. Yeah. Fire hose versus fire hose. And you're like, I don't know if that works. I love the idea of spiritual damage, too. There's, for example, in the Shannara books, the more they cast spells, the more their DNA fucks up. And they don't describe it as DNA. They describe it in a spiritual way where he says something is breaking the more he casts inside. Like almost like when you know you're getting sick.
You're like corrupting yourself or something.
Yeah, and so when Will's casting spells, he's like, holy shit, I don't know if I want to cast. Something is altering. Yeah. And I can tell it's altering, and it's giving me a disturbing feeling. I like that. And then his kids have altered spells when he has kids. Because every time you cast it, you adjust it. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I mean, games, that'd be hard to do, dude. That'd be so hard.
Oh, yeah.
I'll scroll up and read some of these. Okay, didn't miss that. I like the book where human from Earth come into Xanth through the computer game. Oh, yeah, so Xanth, just so everybody knows, the entire magic system or the entire magical part of the world is a part of Florida that no one can see, which I think is hilarious. So they can travel to the real world, which is called Mundania, meaning like mundane, boring. And then Lost Kingdom for Sale is great, too. Terrible magic system. Doesn't even really have a magic system, but great books. Sylar was cool in Heroes, how he opened their brains to get their powers. Oh, yeah. Right.
He would get like a jigsaw piece, right?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Oregon Fresh says the book for Xanth is Spell for Chameleon. Yeah, when they're looking for, try a spell for Chameleon. God, that book is good. Yeah, man, it's one of those, it's difficult, you know, and in games it's hard because it's always reverted back to mana, you know, there's no, can't remember one, but let me say it like this. Wouldn't it be cool to have a video game where you do what you always do? You have a sword, a bow, and magic, but maybe the magic, you know, maybe something happens and you corrupt more, like Wu Chang Fallen Feathers has that. Where you have like a blood system where shit's starting to go weird. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. I would like to see that more in games where there's a corruption, you know.
I like that. Easy. I like Sanity. We see it a bit more in like Eldritch
Cthulhu. Stuff. But Cthulhu is big in Sanity and Sanity points. I think the one great one is Warhammer of all things. So Warhammer 40,000 doesn't do this, but the other slice of Warhammer is Warhammer Roleplay, which is different than Warhammer the RTS, by the way, which is confusing.
Okay,
but
yeah.
they're three separate things. But Warhammer Roleplay has willpower, and then it has like strength and all your other stuff. But willpower in particular is like your ability to exert yourself on reality, which I sort of like because it's slightly different.
Yeah.
And then I've played some games where the more you cast spells, like you can choose your attribute. And the more you cast spells like Rune Lords, the more you lose it temporarily. So you can like cast a forceful magic spell, but then you lose a little bit of strength temporarily. And there's usually rules like for 8 hours of sleep, you gain this many points back, that kind of stuff. Those are fun because then you can, you know, a little bit more freedom on the person's part. Do you know another thing that isn't magic that sort of confuses me still to this day? What the fuck does what the fuck does Paul Atreides have? It's
Dude,
simply
to this
DNA,
day, I don't.
or it's like is it spiritual or is it like, I know it's spiritual because Bene Gesserit, obviously some of it's like you can tell it's all
it's
based
like
on
genetic, right?
So
that,
but I always wondered, like, is it just simply because a male child shouldn't have it? Because admittedly, I haven't read Dune in fucking ages, so I can't remember what it was with him. But I remember that like he didn't really ever do anything that was spiritual in nature other than the voice, and that was it, right?
Yeah, like, you know, some of the visions, right,
the visions,
and stuff.
Yeah, the visions. Yeah, right.
And he had the ability to, I've forgotten most of it, so if I get it wrong, I'm sorry, but I think he could commune with the worms, right? Couldn't he communicate with the
right, because later on he could call the worms,
capacity.
right? In some capacity.
Yes,
like,
so he,
because I think
later
he
he
calls the worms
honed
without
in,
a thumper even, doesn't he?
Right. Yeah, yeah. So I think he could call them and he could ride them, right? So there was a symbiosis with
one
them.
of the best parts is not in the new movie that I know of, and I've seen number 2, but I barely remember it. I need to rewatch it. But in the original movie, which is a weird movie, admittedly, Sting's in it in his underwear for a great deal of time, which is a little disconcerting. But the guy from Twin Peaks is the main character, and he's fighting Sting, and he fucking knocks him down, and he screams and shatters him, and like pushes him into the ground. And I remember to this day being like, that is one of the coolest goddamn things. And it only happens one time. But he basically, I think it's him, where he knocks him down. He's like, and he says something, and it like the ground breaks, and the person's body like splits. And I remember being like, what the? Why aren't you doing that more? What the fuck is going on? Like,
I gotta rewatch that. I've completely forgotten that.
It's so old, man. It's like I like it because it's weird, but it's got Virginia Madsen in it. So like,
so that's the original, right? The original Dune movie.
Yeah, that's the original.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then Children of Dune is a TV show, which I found to be quite watchable. Terrible costumes, Jesus Christ, the worst costumes you've ever, dude. It's like $6 theater troupe. It's terrible.
This is like with the zipper.
Oh no, no! I don't mean I wish. I don't mean monsters or aliens. I'm just saying like they're festooned with all kinds of adornments. They look like a little bit like Jennifer fucking what's her name? Jennifer Lopez going to an awards show. Like they'll have different things coming off of their dresses.
Yeah,
it's a little
like a
goofy.
samba parade.
Yeah, but such a but I really liked parts of that show as well. Like I do like the Dune stuff. It's just sometimes a little too eclectic,
Yeah.
It's a little too shady. It's a little too like what exactly? And the vision stuff almost always turns me off in movies when everybody has a vision because I don't like. It just gets a little boring. It's like I don't know what this means, but I saw a vision of somebody holding a knife, masturbating into a butter pan, and you're like, I don't know what that means. Like,
and whatever it is, they can just make it fit later, right? They can say, "Oh, that's what was being foreshadowed."
100%. What bothers me is that it means like it's almost like Miss Cleo, doing a 1-800 line telling your future, and she's like, "Oh man, it'll be finding love," and you're like, "Dude, seriously, come on." Paper Blood says the ending of the last Twin Peaks episode was pretty bleak. Twin Peaks is pretty bleak. Yeah. What else do we got? Is that it for that was like 40 minutes of hating on magic?
Yeah. No, those. By the way, I like Harry Potter. That's why I'm reading it. It's just that the magic system is the one thing that I have a bit of a thing with.
I mean, I love
That's
Dresden
good.
Files, and at times the TV show Dresden Files was strangely really good. That's with Harry Blackthorne from Arrow. He's in a couple other things. He was
really?
Dresden, and I thought that was actually done quite well. And he does a voiceover at the starting of every episode or when he's investigating. And I wish more movies and TV shows did that, because you're not drug along to sit there and consistently wonder. So he'll say, like, I don't understand why the crows are here, because crows usually follow a child at blah, 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 blah. And there's a little bit of data to where you can go.
Yep.
He is not just guessing shit, because at some point you're like, we have a hard enough time figuring out what
It's
we
like
want for
the
dinner.
reasoning behind his actions.
And little stories about like what this type of magic might be, or why this is bad. And you're like, okay, I get it, or get a tiny bit of it. And that's enough for me. I even with Harry Potter, it was all about the magic in the first movie, maybe, or a lot of it was, but then they just forgot because it's a huge thing. But it's like, you're like, why are ghosts here? Why can the ghost affect the real world? Why can this happen? Why does this guy, do this? Why don't they just go do this? Why is this done this way? Why can they throw magic powers out of their wand at 100 miles an hour without any tiredness or anything? And then somebody else's is just stronger. What does that exactly mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta just...
And ultimately, the
just
houses
go with
don't
it.
make sense at all. Can we also agree on that? I was like, well, why does a house matter? Because it's sort of like we're going to sort all the bullies into one house.
It's like all the
going
dorks,
to a school,
all the...
Yeah, but instead of it's fraternities, right? I'm sure it's based on the fraternity system, but you're watching it going like, but this is magic. You would think that it would have a little bit more flexibility, and instead it was more just to like tell the story. It was more just like to frame the story easier for her than it was, for anything.
It's like goths and people who hate themselves or other people this way.
And then no one wants to be Puffleruff or Snufflecum or whatever the fucking I don't know, Snufflecum.
Hufflepuff.
No, it's not, for sure not Snuffcum.
Close.
It's Hufflepuff and Regadort or whatever. I don't know. They got these shitty names though, right? And like Slytherin was cool because it sounded like snakes. Like to me,
because you're Slytherin.
But like Hufflepuff, you're all, dude, that sounds like a bunch of pot smokers. So this is the Hufflepuff, and everybody's like, I thought
Hufflepuffs were like more like dorks, like librarians.
I'm just saying it sounded
which
like
I'm
Hufflepuff sounds like a bunch of people, huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
Well, I just thought like a full house of librarian girls, sign me up, because I mean that we should move on from there. But I'm just saying,
no, I'm feeling
that was a positive
have hit on
perception of that.
Dude, I'd try to sneak in. I'd try to pay that hat off and be like, can I get into that, Pufflecum or whatever it is? It's
just
not
like
it's Snuffle Huff. It's Puffle. What the fuck is it? Hufflepuff.
Right? Hufflepuff.
So you got Hufflepuff, Slytherin, Gryffindor.
Yeah. Wasn't there another one that I'm blanking on?
I think there's two. Ravenclaw. Okay,
yes,
so Ravenclaw might have been the smart librarians. Is that correct? Because wasn't Ravenclaw the very attractive girl that, or for Harry, but the girl that liked Harry, that it was like a little Asian girl who's the actress? I thought she was Maybe she wasn't Ravenclaw.
Right. No, you're right. Ravenclaw cherishes intelligence, wisdom, and creativity.
Okay.
And Hufflepuff values loyalty, patience, and fairness. You're right. It is the potheads.
Yeah.
Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
It is the potheads.
Yeah. Dude, you know what? Like, I still believe I would have loved to have seen a spin-off movie of the Russian, during the Goblet of Fire, the Russian...
They just have one house. It's like just angry people.
Communism. It's like just angry. It's like, but no, I loved when they showed up and they have the staves and they're like doing their weird fucking...
And they got dragons and shit.
Yeah, like, dude. And I think they even come to the... I think there's even a scene where in the movie they end up going to Hogwarts via a ship that comes out of the water because they're sailing to do the Goblet of Fire. It was either them or the French. And then the French guys are like dancing and you're like, who gives a shit? Like the French girls are like dancing, they're all dressed up, and you're like, well, what's your power? Like your power's haughty, I guess. But I mean, there was sort of a caricature. A lot of it was caricature. I mean, admittedly. Slytherin is Slytherin on into the Hufflepuffs. Okay, that was actually
Slytherin. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, sliding in.
And did they have relationships with any other, like, I don't remember like a lot.
No, not really.
Was there any?
Also, they were very young, so like.
But they were
where
dateable.
I'm in the story.
They were dating, right? Like they're 13, 14. They got a girlfriend.
Because I'm like book 3, so they're very young. We're talking like sub 16, so they're not really yet.
Yeah, they're infatuation
so right now,
maybe at that age.
Yeah, like right now, Hermione and Ron are in that phase where they're awkward.
Yeah.
Because they like each other, but it's like weird to like a girl at that age.
Right.
It's kind of like you're supposed to think girls are just weird.
Dude,
or something.
Hermione would have had a really bad accident if I was at that school. I don't like her. I don't like her whatsoever. I don't like her little prissy, pompous shit. Like and Ron deserved better. That's all I'm saying. That should be my bumper sticker. Ron deserved better.
You know what? Harry is a dick to Ron, by the way, because he's filthy rich. You know, he's got all this gold, right? And Ron and his family.
He's got all the gold. Later, he doesn't start with it because he gets that later. Remember, at the starting, he doesn't know he's got it. Well, that's the first book.
I know, but even like first book, he gets it. Like he has access to it. And my whole thing is Ron is going through a super rough patch with no money. His wand is broken. He can't buy anything. His family's fucked. And like they literally take Harry in for a time. And Harry never offered to like, hey, let me just pay for some stuff. Let me help you out.
Didn't Harry buy him a candy bar on the train in the first movie on the way in? Ron,
I think he did, but that's
the only time that Harry.
Ron spent book 2. Ron spent the whole book with a broken wand because he couldn't afford one, and Harry never thought to just offer him, dude, let me just buy you a wand. You help me out.
Can I point out another thing about that pisses me off because I know exactly what you're talking about? The schools will replace your calculator. A magic school is not going to fix a kid's broken wand. Are you kidding me?
It's not even safe, bro. Like you're doing this.
It's short circuits and like hit somebody one time. Like, come on.
Preposterous.
It's preposterous. Yeah. This Harry Potter book about magic users is preposterous.
It's preposterous. Okay. Anyway, flip table.
Yeah, we'll flip the table on that one.
Good.
Anyway, that'll be it for us. Thank you everybody for sticking through and watching. And Vapor Blood with the best comment of the chat says, ever notice that Dobby, the elf, and Putin are never in the same room?
Okay, that's some food for thought right there.
It's something.
Yeah.
It's something. Yeah. Anyway, peace out, everybody. Give a thumbs up to the video when we're done. I hope you guys all have an excellent weekend. Thanks to Johnny for sitting down and talking magic and games. We did talk about games at the start.
Let's go.
We talked about games.
True.
Anyway, that's it for us. Peace out, everybody. Hope you have a good week. Thanks for the super chats. You guys all are awesome for supporting the channel. And thanks to the new people showing up. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.